Hey friends, welcome to the 112th Grey Cup here on Dolany TV. We're going to see how this goes. Second time in channel history live streaming football, but I think tonight on a slow Sunday evening in the middle of November when, you know what, I got nothing better to do other than sit down and watch the Canadian Classic that is the Grey Cup year in, year out. Looking forward to it. I'll state right now, you're going to see a whole bunch of Edmonton Oilers stuff behind me. History dictates I'm a double E fan, but tonight cheering for the Rough Riders because, well, one thing's for certain. I've got a lot of friends growing up in, of course, Cold Lake, Alberta that are cheering for the Rough Riders tonight, so we'll go for the green and see how that dictates things this evening for us. Appreciate you being aboard as we're just a few minutes away here from kickoff, or so it seems. I don't know. I really don't know what the schedule is tonight. I just grabbed a pizza, sat down, ate while getting the stream together, and here we go for some football in the middle of November. Looking forward to it, and obviously it's just a chance to sit back, relax, and enjoy a great game. And like I said, hopefully for my friends that are cheering for the Rough Riders tonight alongside me, it all comes up aces. And of course, to the Montreal Alouettes fans, that's no ill will in your direction. That is just simply saying I'm out west here in southern Alberta, and I got a ton of friends cheering for the Rough Riders, and that's just what I'm hoping for here. So yeah, that's just kind of where we're at this evening, waiting for this football game to get underway. I would tell you I'd have a scoreboard up for you if, unfortunately, my program here doesn't work with the TSN stuff that they put out for scoreboard. So, fortunately, that's just kind of where we're at with this one. So it is what it is the Rough Riders and the Alouettes get underway at, I believe, 4:30 is scheduled kickoff. I haven't been paying that much attention to the details today. So yeah, 4:30 is about kickoff time this evening for the Rough Riders and the Alouettes. Now, what I'll tell you, of course, is for the Grey Cup here, it's been one heck of a lead up this season's been a crazy one, I think, across the CFL. You know, Davis Alexander, the Alouettes quarterback, coming in here with a lot of doubts as to what he's going to be capable of as this game goes on. I believe it's a hamstring injury that's hurting him right now. And of course, we've got a whole bunch of musical stuff to get to tonight as well. The kickoff show is going to get us going this evening for things in Winnipeg. It's the 112th Grey Cup, and every single year that the Grey Cup comes around, I'm like, holy crap, it was just the 100th Grey Cup just a few years ago or so, it seems. And mind you, that was now 12 years ago. So that's insanity as it is. But friends, welcome aboard to Blind and Deadbird there. Good evening to you. Of course, going for the Rough Riders in the chat there. That's why I figured I'd clarify things right quick for you as to who I'm cheering for, as to who I'm going for. I just have to quickly add a text message to the old thing here. Let me get this going. There we go. Bang. As we get going towards kickoff here tonight, they got, it looks like, cheerleaders from all teams represented here across the CFL. This is, of course, a big time game for the CFL, right? Big rule changes are coming. Things are going to start getting a little bit different as the years go on here for the CFL. So there is going to be a ton of stuff going on here. And obviously for right now, we get one last chance to celebrate what we know as regular football across Canada, and then, you know, the changes are coming, and whether you're a fan or not, that's up to you to determine. But we are getting set for the 112th Grey Cup. Glad to have you aboard here on Dolany TV, friends. As you're just tuning in, wondering kind of where maybe my allegiances lie tonight, I will tell you my allegiances lie alongside the Rough Riders fans this evening. As I said right off the top, if you've been tuned in for the full thing, only 4 minutes in at this point. Just saying that we are going alongside the Rough Riders because I've got a ton of friends that are Rough Riders fans. So that's kind of where we're at this evening, as I'm going to have to, I think, add a whole bunch of things here. So friends, unfortunately, with copyright laws in Canada and copyright laws across sports, I can't show you the game. I'll keep you updated as best I can. I'm just basically going to hang out with you, and we're going to enjoy the football game as it goes. I'd be really interested to see how we can get rid of these spam bots in the chat here. So let me quickly go here to see what we can do about that. As sorry friends, didn't think that would be an issue here today, but it appears it is. So we just have to figure that one out, and then yeah, we'll go from there as we go do customization. What is there in my settings that I can do to detail that? I'm not 100% sure. Settings, community moderation, there we go, we're good to go. Sorry friends, just have to get this dealt with, and then we should be good to go for that. So boom, okay, save, and we should be good to rock and roll. Sorry friends, that is very annoying that is happening already out of the chat. That is of course what happens with live streams here on YouTube more often than not, so it is unfortunately just the case for what we're getting ourselves into tonight. I should have been able to stop it now here this evening, and we should be good to go for the rest of the way, as I think I've found some ways to get this dealt with. So there we go friends, the Grey Cup kickoff show happening right now. At least the beautiful part is we've got not much happening in terms of football quite yet. Kickoff show getting us ramped up for this one, the 112th Grey Cup in Winnipeg, Manitoba this year. I think for somebody that hasn't really paid super attention to things, I think last week was really, really exciting across both finals, and now you have the Grey Cup, which is going to be absolutely electric. The Montreal Canadiens, I knew I was going to make that mistake, Montreal Alouettes and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I think you've got two great stories of quarterbacks there really looking forward to doing something for their teams, and of course something for their own career stature. Trevor Harris obviously trying to cap off what's been an incredible career so far across multiple CFL teams, and then of course for Davis Alexander coming in and ready to rock and roll with an injured hamstring and trying to prove the doubters wrong. So yeah, that's just kind of where we're at here this evening, friends, as we wait for this game to get underway. Deadbird's got the question. Of course, I guess for a lot of you, this would be the first time tuning in to Dolany TV, so there will be some questions to answer. The chair I got off of Staples, actually just went over to Staples one day. They were clearing out this chair. I know a ton of friends that are gamers that quite perfectly, right? I'm sitting up a little bit more in the chair to kind of command the studio a little bit more than somebody maybe gaming and leaning back. Man, it can be a comfortable chair watching a game down here or so, but yeah, that's just kind of where we're at right now as we keep rocking and rolling on the live stream, friends. Of course, if you haven't already, I'm going to go post a poll right now, who's winning, and you can let me know in the comments section or the live streams. So let me figure that one out. Hold on, it's been a while since I had to do a poll. Actually, it's been a while since I live streamed here on the channel. I've done about 4 live streams since the hockey season kicked off back in the fall. So let's go here. And let's go here. Boom, there we go. We should be good to go. Start poll, that should get you guys going in the chat there with a little bit of allegiance pledge in there as we get going. The Riders immediately get some votes going. I like to see that. As I said off the top, my friends are a bunch of Rough Riders fans, I think across basically all angles of my life. Of course, growing up, like I said, in Cold Lake, Alberta, it's kind of one of those things where we're right up against the Saskatchewan border, and there were 2 choices of teams to cheer for, and a lot of people chose the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I know my buddy Gillis TV is sitting back at home right now enjoying this kickoff party and getting ready for this big old Grey Cup tonight with his riders in it, and I know a couple other folks as well across, whether it be at work or whether it be back home in Cold Lake, that are getting excited for this one this evening, a chance to win the Grey Cup over top of the Montreal Alouettes. I don't know if you know that dynamic very well, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of fun here to be had for the Grey Cup this evening. Looking forward to it. Thank you for being aboard, as I'm gotta say, because this is something I never expected to do in the history of my channel. Just so happened that I lined up a free Sunday on Grey Cup Sunday and nobody was asking me to hang out or anything, so here we go. Dolany TV gets to live stream the Grey Cup this evening. So Papa G, good evening to you as well, friends. Thank you for tuning in to the live stream. Logan, thanks for being aboard as well, as it is going to be an interesting game, that much is for sure, as the Grey Cup in Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, a chance to win it. Man, that would burn the Winnipeg fans something fierce, I am sure that is. Of course, if you're tuning in to the CFL coverage for the first time ever, curious about what is this Grey Cup thing, Winnipeg and Saskatchewan do not like each other very much at all, if ever. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Riders can take home a Grey Cup in Winnipeg. That'd be absolutely fantastic. As Deadbird's got family in Edmonton cheering for the Riders, as same as Saskatoon. See, that's awesome to see, and I'm sure we're going to see a ton of folks tune in from Saskatchewan and Alberta tonight. I would be color me shocked if we see anybody from BC or necessarily Winnipeg or anywhere like that, Manitoba, and maybe Ontario cares a little bit because of the Alouettes connection, but I would say unless Saskatchewan travels well to those provinces, which I mean Saskatchewan travels well across Alberta and well across Canada as it is, I don't know if that's necessarily we're going to see too many folks from outside of the two big provinces tonight, but either way, it's going to be a huge opportunity to showcase some football here on the channel and get things going. Mr. Doom, good evening to you as we get things rolling along on the pregame show here. And I mean, for the Alouettes, I think it's just they're looking for their quarterback to be as good as possible here tonight to try and offset what might be a little bit of an issue with injury. And then, of course, for the Rough Riders, looking to just cap off a good season with Trevor Harris and get the job done. Not much in the way of social media here on either team's feeds yet, but looking forward to this. Austin Mack and Mustafa Johnson, who were game time decisions for the Alouettes, will play today. So there you go. If you're an Alouettes fan tuning in, there's some updates right there for you as we get closer and closer to kickoff tonight. The Saskatchewan Rough Riders, what do we know there? As I don't think they've got anything else going on in terms of injury updates, so that is where we are at. Lewis Clark supporting the Rough Riders. See, we got a little bit of USA content in here as well, and not to say that I'm not going to celebrate the Grey Cup being a little bit of a Canadian treasure here tonight, and that's the one part about it. You know, it's a tough go for the CFL every Grey Cup because of course the NFL is also on tonight, but I think this is our one night of the year versus the NFL. We get to steal the show and really go out there and showcase our football. And so far, so good. The kickoff show is absolutely rocking. So there you have it. As friends, we're getting closer and closer to kickoff tonight. Again, reminder, I will not be able to show you the game due to copyright. Just kind of is what it is. And of course, I will tell you, Sportsnet, TSN, the NHL, they've come after me for copyright before, and it's not really cool. So we'll just keep you updated. As I said, I wish I could show you the scoreboard as well, but unfortunately the scoreboard situation with the TSN feed just doesn't quite work out. So it is what it is. We'll battle through, but I don't expect things will be too crazy. So yeah, absolutely appreciate you guys' support from down south tonight. Tuning in from Kansas there, Michael, appreciate that. Chuck's going for the Owls. Maybe this a chance to get a hold of our poll and see where we're sitting right now. 47 votes in on the poll, 69% of people going for the Riders, now 70% on 52 votes, 31% going for the Owls. Like I said, Dolly TV being a Western Canadian, Southern Albertan channel, I felt like very heavily we were going to end up with folks tuning in for the Riders. That is the case so far here this evening, but I appreciate everybody being aboard. If you haven't already left a like on the stream, definitely make sure to do that, friends. I mean, if you can't watch the game at all, this is going to be better than nothing, I guarantee you that. I mean, how great it will be, I don't know. I haven't called football in a very long time. I don't even think I officially got live on air calling football back in my days covering high school football up in Cold Lake. So it just kind of is what it is, but I appreciate you being aboard nonetheless as we gear up for tonight's Grey Cup. It's going to be absolutely fantastic to see Montreal and Saskatchewan face off. I think there's some history there if I heard correctly, if I remember correctly. So that's going to be great, and obviously just an awesome chance for, like I said, Canada to showcase our game on the big stage. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm going to quickly give you guys one of these quickly and just make sure that is working. And as we go along as well, if at any time, friends, you want to subscribe, of course, Dolly TV, not a CFL, not a Riders, not an Alouettes channel by any means. Primary focus here on the channel is the Edmonton Oilers. So if you want to subscribe to stay tuned with your Edmonton Oilers, I see some regular subscribers already in the chat, but definitely if you want to stay tuned for more coverage here of the Oilers. I'd appreciate that as well. As we close in on 4:30, it's 4:23 right now. It is going to be a heck of a night. I'm glad I decided to go get the pizza when I did. Glad I decided to get things going. So absolutely fantastic to line up this Sunday evening the way I have been able to and get things going. Greg, Rider fan here on vacation in Barbados. See, that's exactly what these live streams, friends. I don't know if some of you might have tuned in over the years here on Dolly TV for the World Juniors coverage. Normally I have a little bit more hair than I do, but freak die accident job there for Halloween took off the top. That said, during the World Juniors, during everything, usually these bigger events, Dolly TV, just happy to cover them. So as those of you who don't have access to be able to watch are able to, stay up to date in some fashion rather than just checking out the score on your phone. So Lucas going for the sub after the Owls win. Hey, that's great. You know what, friends? If you want to chirp me for that, I appreciate that. That's awesome. And Saskatchewan and Montreal were powerhouse for so long, 15 years ago. I mean, that's the crazy part, right? The dominance of teams in the CFL, it seems just goes in waves just like any professional sports league. But the CFL being only a 9-team league, the dominance thing is absolutely hilarious because one year to the next, you could be a powerhouse and then you could be bottom of the league. But some of the teams that have been assembled over multiple years in the CFL are absolutely legendary. So that's fantastic. And so far, right now, friends, it's cold in Winnipeg, but it looks like it is a fantastic night for football. Clear skies, beautiful field, no snow in the forecast, so that is looking good here this evening. That is for sure. As the Grey Cup gets walked out to center field or wherever they're going to place it here, they're just watching the WestJet representatives carry it out. And yeah, fantastic night for football in Winnipeg. That much is for sure. They got some kind of little podium here for it. And then we are going to rock and roll for this football game in about 5 minutes time. Kickoff is coming. Now he's getting it going on to the placement. And here we go, friends. We are going to get that beautiful shot of the Grey Cup here this evening. You know what? These are big games, right? These are big games for both teams involved, and obviously the biggest stage of CFL football there is. Looking forward, like I said, to watching it. And again, thank you for being here, as this is going to be one heck of a night for football. I think the beautiful part is it's in Winnipeg, and I don't know what the forecast is, but the weather can change at any moment. And let me tell you, especially this time of year in Canada, if there's a little bit of snow flying by the end of this game, kind of similar to that Canadian Premier League final that they played there last weekend, it could be a special moment in Canadian sports and something that captures the hearts of millions across the world. So if you're tuning in from outside of Canada tonight, appreciate you being aboard for the ride. Looking forward to this game getting underway here in a matter of moments. They just had, I believe that was Davis Alexander, the quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes, now interviewing, I believe, Trevor Harris here, if I'm not mistaken, as we get set for kickoff this evening. Of course, the players having to go out there and fight for this one right now. Try and get this game won, right? That starts from right off the hop. And of course, hopefully for both teams, a good start and good contestant football going back and forth, scoring a couple of points either way. And then all of a sudden, once we get to the second half, we can start deciding who wins. That is typical, right? That is typical football in the CFL, right down to the final 3, 2, 1, whatever's left of the football game in that fourth quarter. That's usually where the game's won and lost. And we'll see how that translates here tonight on Dolly TV. Appreciate you guys being aboard for the ride here this evening. We are about set for kickoff, as we've just about got 100 votes on the poll here in the chat. 73% of you going for the Saskatchewan Roughriders this evening as we get closer and closer to kickoff tonight. Weather's pretty nice in Winnipeg, partly cloudy. Okay, so there we go. A little bit of an update. Clouds have kind of rolled in a little bit as Lindsay gets us going with the 1 degree Celsius out there. Not bad at all. It's going to be a beautiful, cold, cool night. Well, not cold, but cool night for football in Winnipeg, and it's going to be a beautiful finish to the CFL season as we get underway with a new chapter of the CFL next year. But this year comes to a close with Saskatchewan and Montreal facing off head-to-head in the 112th Grey Cup in Winnipeg. It's going to be a good time. And friends, again, just a reminder, I can't show you the game due to copyright. This is something that I feel like I battle a little bit more with TSN coverage rather than Sportsnet coverage. I think everybody knows how the NHL works nowadays, but of course it is always a reminder. But if you are out and about, I will keep you updated as best I can. I'm not the most knowledgeable football fan, but I keep tabs, let's say that much. Again, the Oilers occupy a lot of my time throughout the year, but the Grey Cup about ready to get going, as I think we're going to have the team introductions here in just a moment as the Riders walk out of the tunnel here to a big crowd of fans assembled. Lots of Winnipeg Blue Bombers fans in the stands as well. Obviously the home side for this, despite both teams not being from Winnipeg, as the hosts will do their duty of supporting the stands. Nonetheless, Winnipeg sold out, I think, every single game this year is what I was hearing, as the Riders take the field here, running to the sidelines and getting set up for the kickoff for this evening's game. It is going to be a beautiful game. I think the nice part is, right, the field's good. There's no real complaints from either side saying, this is bad or that's bad. It's a 1 degree day. Beautiful evening for football. The fans wearing the Pilsner tarps. You love to see it. It's kind of where we're at. And I would tell you, Christian, if you're looking for the game, you would want to go to TSN Plus, not CFL Plus. TSN Plus would have the game for you inside Canada. Of course, I think TSN still got that like $12 one-time purchase for a week or whatever. So that would be your lineup for the way to get it going, friends. If you're looking to try and watch tonight's game, TSN Plus will have it for you. And again, for those of you tuning in for the first time, this is Stolen TV. Thanks for being aboard. Appreciate you hanging out here on the pregame edition so far. Definitely, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button for more Oilers coverage. This is an Edmonton Oilers channel, but just tonight I figured all my friends that I normally hang out with are watching the Grey Cup, supporting the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They all have their various parties they're at, so here I am home alone covering off the CFL's Grey Cup, the 112th here this evening. So there it is as we get things going this evening, as we are closing in on kickoff. They've got the last little pregame intro here. The Montreal Alouettes about set to take the field now for this 112th Grey Cup, coming out of the tunnel in just a matter of moments as we get closer and closer to kickoff. I really didn't know what to expect. This definitely has the feel, of a Stanley Cup Finals playoff game in the NHL, where you just keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for things to get underway, and we're still waiting for things. The Alouettes just coming out of the tunnel now as they assemble down out of the corner. As I appreciate everybody tuning in. Of course, it's been pretty heavy in the chat about the Rough Riders, but Dave is coming in for the Owls, chirping something that may have happened previously. So there it is. We are getting closer and closer to kickoff here tonight, friends. Davis Alexander coming out of the tunnel there, getting things going. So this will be interesting to see how it finishes off. Of course, this game, the next thing up is the national anthem. I don't know who they have doing the national anthem here tonight, but of course we do have one last commercial break before we get things going here this evening. Charles, welcome aboard. Sean, welcome aboard. Appreciate David being along for the ride as well. Right now, we're just waiting for things to get going. Our Lady Peace with the kickoff show this evening. They rocked it. They crushed it. And now we're set up for a good game of football tonight. The CFL, the Grey Cup, the 112th edition from Winnipeg, Manitoba this evening. Friends, if you've been aboard for the pregame edition and enjoyed things so far, definitely leave a like. I feel like I've done a lot of talking about a lot of nothing here so far tonight, but that is, of course, kind of what happens once they throw the pregame show over to a band to get us going for the night. So we're closing in on football time tonight. Appreciate everybody being aboard along for the ride here tonight, like I said. And I just want to quickly take a double check here as we're getting closer and closer to kickoff. Sorry, that's really all there is to be said. I know we're getting closer, but I have no clue when kickoff's going to get us going and get us rocking. But yeah, no, I think both the Alouettes fans and the Riders fans can say their seasons went a little bit better than how the Oilers seasons are going right now. Of course, if you are an NHL fan, I feel like a lot of teams, they're expecting something out of their team, really aren't getting the best performance so far. I know the Montreal Canadiens are probably Canada's best team so far. Definitely the Toronto Maple Leafs having a struggle squad. Same with the Calgary Flames, but it's been an absolutely rocky season here for the Oilers so far. So looking forward to kind of taking my mind off it a little bit here tonight and just enjoying some good football. And like I said, an absolute rock star Canadian tradition every November. The Grey Cup rocking us home. And of course, normally up in Cold Lake watching the Grey Cup, they used to do the Grey Cup a little bit later on in November, like last weekend in November, and it would be, well, cold, and it would be snowy, and it would be a disaster every single time, especially in the houses I partied in. But tonight, we'll sit back, relax, keep you updated with the Grey Cup, and see if we can't find a Riders victory. I know that probably isn't where I should be going, but that's what I'm hoping for here for all my friends back home and across the province as they get cheering for their team tonight, hopefully winning a Grey Cup. So closing in on kickoff here, friends. We've still got just a couple more commercials to get through, and then we'll get rocking and rolling this evening. Again, like I said, if you are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. That's, of course, not going to work for us. That's the old browser score from last night's hockey game, last night's live stream between the Oilers and the Carolina Hurricanes. So I don't know what else is left to cover here, friends. I think, again, a reminder to those of you tuned in right now that are wondering if I'll be showing the live game. Unfortunately, I can't show the game live due to copyright laws, and obviously as well, TSN ain't so friendly when you cross them. So that's kind of where we're at. The Riders have to win to finish the storyline. Mr. Rock says right there. And then, of course, yeah, we're going to get closer and closer to kickoff. At some point, these commercials are going to end. We're going to go live to Winnipeg finally, and here we go, friends. The Grey Cup about set to kick off here on TSN. Of course, if you are looking to watch the game yourself and you're inside Canada this evening, TSN Plus is the way you will be able to do it. Like I said, I think they have a week membership for like $12.99 or something still, maybe $15.99 in today's inflation economy. So we have the national anthem right now at the stadium, and then we will get set for the kickoff, as we'll have to still decide, I'm sure, who's going to receive and who's going to kick off to start this football game. But it is going to be an absolute baller of a night. I think beautiful weather for it, right? No snow and no elements. I think it's going to be great. Katie St. Germain kicks us off with the national anthem here this evening as we play O Canada at the stadium and get set for what is going to be an absolutely unreal Grey Cup number 112 between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Montreal Alouettes. Appreciate you being aboard. As I said, like I said, this was not the plan when I woke up this morning, but this is where we're at now, deep in the midst of a Grey Cup live stream here on the channel. It's only the second time in history I've ever live streamed football on the channel, but I appreciate everybody hanging out and I appreciate you hanging tough with me as we get closer and closer to being able to update you on what's going on the field and what's happening here. Is looks like we got the Grey Cup commissioner out there this evening alongside some other dignitaries from across Canada as we get set for kickoff here shortly, as the national anthem playing along inside the stadium right now. Of course, this is going to be an absolutely gorgeous night for football. I think that's really all that can be said, is just hovering around zero, getting the job done as we go along for the ride here this evening. The flyover there as we get set up, the fireworks go off, and there we go, friends. This is going to be one heck of an evening here for football. That's all I can really say. It's going to be an absolutely unbelievable time. Rob, good evening to you, going for the Riders as well. As looking forward to seeing what happens in this game this evening as we get closer and closer to the coin toss. I think we're going to have one more set of commercials here. We'll see what happens here on the way shortly, as we have, I don't know what, like they keep advertising the SiriusXM kickoff show, and now all of a sudden we're back on commercial break. I don't know what's going on. I thought we were going to get right into this at 4:30. I thought kickoff was 4, if I was being honest with you. But yeah, we're going to take our time getting into it this evening, and it appears as we get, like I said, closer and closer to kickoff, but we're still just waiting for this game to get underway here this evening. So I appreciate you hanging out, being aboard for the ride here. I'm not sure what the delay is or if this is just scheduled again. This is pretty prototypical across the NHL. Normally the kickoff is scheduled for 4:30 or puck drop for 4:30, and then the game doesn't get underway until 8, 9, 10, 12 minutes later. So that appears like that's going to be the case again here tonight. So appreciate you guys hanging tough. And of course, like I said, it's going to be hanging tough all night. The best I can do is update you here out of the Oilers studio as we go. But yeah, we'll see how things go. And again, if you are new and want to stay aboard for the Edmonton Oilers, I promise you it's not as much muttering and trying to figure myself out when we're talking about the Edmonton Oilers as it is here talking about the Grey Cup tonight. I figured if I'm going to sit alone at home and just watch this game, why not at least try and help some folks out across the country and around the world trying to watch tonight's game. So appreciate you being aboard for the ride, friends, and we will get things going here shortly for some coverage of tonight's 112th Grey Cup between in Winnipeg between the Montreal Alouettes and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, as we're waiting for this one to get underway here tonight. Not really sure. Like, we've had a lot of commercials here over the last few moments, but we're closing in closer and closer to getting this going here this evening as we're watching pretty big commercial right now. But yeah, we're getting ready. I think, again, friends, if you haven't had a chance yet to vote in the poll on who you're taking for tonight's game, right now there's 222 votes in. Alouettes at 29%, Riders at 71% so far. So appreciate everybody engaging with that and getting that going. We are almost set for kickoff. At some point, we're going to get set for kickoff, I think. I don't know. We're going to do the $1 million touchdown to win now, and that should be that. Is hundreds of, that's still a commercial. So as Alvin tunes in from Regina, appreciate you guys again. You know what? Maybe in the break between the first quarter and second quarter, we'll get things going and get you figure out where you're tuning in from tonight. There's 412 of you on board right now. I do appreciate you hanging out with me, as I think at some point we're going to get this game underway here and get going, as I think we're coming back to the stadium right now. Astros going for the Owls all the way. Appreciate the little bit of support for the Alouettes here. I feel like the poll is definitely telling me where the audience lies tonight, but we are set for the coin toss here as the referee gets us going here. 7th Grey Cup as head referee Andre Pro gets it going for us here this evening. The referee crew as well set to get things going. Jim Carlisle, Tim Croker, Troy Semenchuk, David Mulvihill. That's way too many names to try and read as quick as that graphic is going to go away, so I'm just going to give up now, as Jody welcome in as well as we get closer and closer to kickoff. Here we're about to do the coin flip. Of course, this is always the biggest part of the Grey Cup. We know that much for sure, as we get a little bit of, little sponsored ad here, as a lot of folks donating money and time here to support Pure Later Tackle Hunger at the Grey Cup this evening. So we're going to have that for this. And yeah, we got some Ticats support there as well. So sorry, that threw me for a loop seeing the Ticats. I'm like, I don't think so, but yeah, that's where we're at. As yeah, friends, unfortunately I can't show you the game due to copyright here this evening, so you know what, I'll do my best to keep you updated. It's just kind of what it is, as the case is with the broadcasting rights in Canada. So we'll deal with it and we'll get it going. As O-Town going for the Riders, as greetings from a Winnipeg fan in Saskatchewan. That's a double-edged sword right there, but we are about set for this coin flip, it looks like, as the head referee comes on over and greets the dignitaries here this evening, as we are closing in closer and closer, getting things going between the Riders and Alouettes, as the Riders come shake everybody's hands, and we are getting things going. And there we go, Rob tuning in from Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan. Yes, sir. That is, well, not quite my side of the border, but my area of the country. That much for sure, coming from Cold Lake myself. I don't know if you can read that here on my jacket, as we get things going towards the coin flip. The Montreal Alouettes shaking the dignitaries' hands right now and getting set. Here we go. We're about ready to do this thing for real finally. I don't know who's going to do what, right? I mean, you know, you want to defer the kickoff, or do you want the kickoff? I don't know. We'll see the coin flip here, as And the referee is just giving the instructions here on the coin flip. And now coin flip with the nice Canadian flag or maple leaf there. Sorry, the Canadian flag maple leaf right there. Tails is the C right there in blue. And we'll see. Saskatchewan gets the call. And let's see what we get going as Prime Minister flips the coin, and it is the maple leaf. So the Riders will defer the kickoff. And the Montreal Alouettes will receive the opening kickoff of tonight's 112th Grey Cup. There you have it. We're about ready to rock and roll now as special teams will take the field for both teams here. And we'll see what we can do this evening as the final few interviews along the sidelines now as we get geared up towards kickoff. And officially now we know the Alouettes will receive the kickoff to begin the game. The Riders have deferred to the second half. And now Corey Mace, the head coach this evening, 12-6 for the Riders this year. First Grey Cup appearance as we get rolling towards what is going to be kickoff. And finally, you know, we're now 15 minutes behind schedule here. So we'll see what the case is here as we have one last interview with the Montreal Alouettes head coach here. And we're getting closer and closer to things getting actually going finally. Unfortunately, it's been something I wasn't prepared for. You know, I figured I'd know what was going to happen, but that is what it is. As Ryan tuning in from Halifax, Nova Scotia this evening, going for the Owls. Jason Moss, head coach of the Montreal Alouettes, says, this is where we're getting ready closer and closer to things going. He'll head to his sideline, and now we should have the special teams for both sides take the field and get set for this game's opening kickoff. Davis Alexander will get the game started for the Alouettes. Of course, he's had an interesting past week after, you know, suffering a little bit of an injury there and trying to battle through that and get ready for this game. There's been a lot of question marks about him. While he is going to be good to go and ready to go for tonight's Grey Cup, that much is for sure. As we get closer and closer to kickoff this evening. And, of course, Trevor Harris as well. Question marks around him and his legacy and what it means if he doesn't win a Grey Cup. So we'll see what's going on there. So, yeah. See what's going to happen in tonight's game. As, again, friends, I'll sit here and remind you there will be some moderation in the comments section. So we get closer to kickoff, maybe one last commercial break. I don't know one last commercial break. That's the way she's going to go. I don't know what the plan is here tonight, but yeah, definitely the CFL taking its sweet time to get to kickoff. It was supposed to be a 4:30 kickoff, and now we're closer to 5 o'clock here, unfortunately, as we get things rolling again. And of course, right now, if you haven't already left a like on the stream, definitely make sure to do that. I mean, for those of you that are unable to watch, this will be about the best I can do for you tonight, but at least it'll be better than nothing. As the next thing after commercial break is, of course, kickoff here between the Alouettes and the Rough Riders, and hopefully a game that delivers on, well, the usual promise that is the Grey Cup. Absolute unbridled chaos for an entire game right down to the last minute, and we've seen it multiple times over the span of the Grey Cup history. And I mean, you want to roll back to probably my most memorable Grey Cup as a kid, that Danny Machocha moment back with the Edmonton Eskimos back in the day. Yeah, everybody knows that one. So yeah, let's get closer and closer to kickoff. I don't think there's anything else to show here, as I think we're ready to get going here for tonight's game once these commercials end, and then we'll see how things rock and roll for us as the game proceeds throughout the evening. As it has been an absolutely great year for the CFL. I think that television viewership was up across the board for them, unlike a lot of previous seasons. So CFL going to innovate, do some rule changes over the next few years. It's going to be quite crazy to see what happens to our great Canadian game, but at the same rate too, one last chance to celebrate it in the old way it is before things change here over the next winter. So Closing in on kickoff. I don't know why TSN keeps feeding us commercial after commercial. I quite honestly thought we were going to get things going. I guess we're going to be the old 20-minute delay on kickoff, just like puck drop during a Stanley Cup Finals game. I think everybody always yells at the NHL about that. I don't know where anyone's yelling. I know some of you are upset with this, but somebody's got to be yelling at the CFL about this. It's a little bit ridiculous to wait this long to kick things off. I know you got the coin toss and stuff in there, but we're still just rolling commercial after commercial here on TSN. So you're not missing much, if anything, yet right now as we get rolling towards the 5 o'clock hour and hopefully the game truly getting underway at some point here for us to all sit back, watch, and enjoy. As maybe another chance here to go quickly double check how the old poll is going. We're now 313 votes into the poll. Again, it appears 70% of you are supporting the Riders this evening. 30% of you are supporting the Alouettes. Again, like I said, I'm cheering for the Riders simply because I've got a bunch of friends back home in Cold Lake and across the province of Alberta that are cheering for the Riders here tonight. So I'm going to cheer alongside them. And like I said, couldn't find myself a party to go watch tonight. Yeah, that's fine. I've been partying a lot. The Blue Jays were just literally in the World Series, so it is what it is. But and the Oilers were in the Stanley Cup Final. But yeah, we'll get closer and closer to kickoff here, and it looks like special teams are on the field for both sides. So we are set to get things going here this evening from Winnipeg, the 112th Grey Cup on TSN, as the Rough Riders versus the Alouettes at Princess Auto Stadium in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Let's do this thing. The Alouettes, the receiving team here, as John comes in cheering for the Owls, as we get one big pan of the crowd here. Looks like a sellout in Winnipeg as Saskatchewan gets set to kick things off. Montreal step back to receive here as they get a little bit of the cold into them here. And there we go. The ball is in the air. Back all the way to the Alouettes 20 as they'll catch the ball and run to the right side of the field. Trying to get to the outside here and get going downfield. A little bit of good work there from the Owls. They'll get it up closer to midfield than really where they were. They just kind of kicked that ball, the Riders, right to the 20. And the Alouettes shuffled all the way to the sideline and somehow got upfield here. Not exactly sure where that ball landed, but Davis Alexander will take over from there, and that'll be the start of the ball game. 9 seconds off the clock, 14:51 to go in the first quarter. The ball is at the Alouettes 41 after that kickoff return. Pretty impressive return there, definitely, for the Alouettes to start the game with 20-yard plus return, and it'll be a snap in the shotgun for Alexander here as he'll line up. First down, 10 to go. It's a run play up the middle there as the Alouettes get right to the yellow line, marking the first down. Did they get it? The officials will let us know, but a good solid run right up the gut for the Owls. They'll get things started as you see here, offensive coordinator Anthony Calvillo. He's been to a couple of these Grey Cups once or twice or 3 times over, hasn't he? As we get a shot there up in the stands of a couple of the coaches for the Montreal Alouettes. So the Alouettes, 2nd and 1, came up a yard short, just outside the 50 on the Saskatchewan side here as they'll get things going with a yard to go. The Alouettes line up and they are going to try and just push this one over the 52-yard line. That they do. And just like that, we are off and running with another first down for the Montreal Alouettes. Good quick pace, and that's what's absolutely awesome about the CFL. A couple of quick runs and away you go up the field. And that's what it's been so far for the Montreal Alouettes, who got deferred and they got the opportunity to receive the opening kickoff of this game. We're moving with pace here to start. The Alouettes now a minute and a half into the game, minute 40 now with a 1st and 10 at their own 52-yard line. Davis Alexander snaps the ball here. He's looking for a passing option for the first time in the game. He's going to go deep all the way downfield, and it's intercepted just outside of the Rough Riders' 15-yard line, back upfield. They're to the 35, just shy of the 40 on the Rough Riders' side of half, and a costly error right there to start the game for Davis Alexander. He had the man in coverage, and the Rough Riders able to pick it off. And that is a heck of a start to the ball game. If you're the Rough Riders, a couple of quick plays there from the Alouettes, and then ultimately a double coverage leads to an interception for the Riders. And that comes back up the field rather quickly here, as that ends up, it should be around the 37-yard line for the Riders to take over the ball for the first time. So to heck with not receiving the kickoff to start the game for the Riders. They deferred, and quite simply 2 minutes into the game, they get a hold of the ball on a pickoff way deep downfield as Marcus Sales, defensive back, got the interception, 2 tackles and an interception in the final. It's 0-0 here as the Riders choose to run the ball. Not much happening from scrimmage until all of a sudden a little bit of a leap. And the running back for the Riders, this again, unfortunately, I'm not very familiar with anything CFL in terms of player names, but the Riders will be 2 or 3 yards shy of the first down here. Trevor Harris, 11-5 record, completion percentage of 73.6 with 4,550 yards this year, 24 touchdowns. And it looks like the Riders are going to send Harris to the sideline as they'll try and just sneak up for this first down here on the quick play. So that is where we're at, friends. Both teams moving the ball. It's 0-0 to begin things. We're just about 3 minutes into the ball game. 2nd and 1 for the Riders on that last second leap to try and get to the first down, and they'll just quickly get things going as the Alouettes will stack up the defense as well, and the Riders will go to the outside a little bit of the line of scrimmage and push across the line and get there for a first down. Trevor Harris back on the field just like that. So it is an interesting start to the ball game. Both teams with a quick run and a quick first down. Unfortunately for the Montreal Alouettes, quickly after that, an interception, and now the Riders pushing upfield here, trying to take command of this ball game right out of the gate. They are just on their side of the 50 at the 51-yard line, 55, sorry, center line. At the 51-yard line, as the Riders will line up to try and get this one going downfield. I'm sure both teams aren't going to be too afraid to throw it downfield here, as here's Trevor Harris to the outside, a few yards shy of the 55, pushing upfield, and the Riders will gain about 6 yards there, 5 yards, depending on how they rule them down, for Neild on the pass from Harris. And that's a heck of a start there for the Riders, as you know, the Alouettes, they weren't so lucky on their first passing attempts. So here we go. We got an opportunity for the Riders on a second down and about probably 4 or 5 yards to see if they can continue marching downfield across half for the first time in the game for either side of the football game. In the 112th Grey Cup here, as the Riders will line up at the Montreal 53, 2nd and 3rd to go here, as Harris will take the snap in a second, and he will get set to pass this one. A little bit of a look around. He'll find an open man, and now a pass that should have been intercepted. The Montreal Alouettes bumble it twice in the air. Ultimately, it drops. And that is a costly goal. After being intercepted by the Alouettes, they just lost themselves a possession right there, as a double clutch in the air for number 48 on the Alouettes cost them possession, as that was a perfect pickoff. Quite honestly, the Alouettes had that. They just couldn't hold on to it. And now it'll be a 3rd and 3 from the Montreal 53 here. It looks like things will remain the same, and the Riders are looking to possibly punt here, as we'll get things going deep into Alouettes territory, as the punt to the far corner. They'll go down and bounce right into the end zone. The Alouettes trying to chase it down. They're going to go fall on that ball, with 3rd and 3 turns into a point for the Saskatchewan Roughriders with 10 minutes and 3 seconds to go. 1-0 the score, Riders now, as the Alouettes definitely could have had a way to turn that into, 6 points if they would have gone downfield right there. So the game now 1-0 for the Rough Riders. We're 5 minutes-ish into the ball game, and so far so good for both teams. A possession in, and the Alouettes, despite a costly interception downfield, are able to turn it into only a point against. So there's still a hope here, if you're an Alouettes fan, that the next possession could lead to quite something and obviously get us going. So we'll see what happens here as we're closing in on the next possession. Of course, it is commercial break time. Friends, I would appreciate right now, if you haven't already voted in the poll at the top of the chat, if you haven't been in the chat yet, definitely make sure to do that as well. I've seen a lot of support for the Riders, some support for the Alouettes, and so far the polls are going 364 votes in favor of the Riders at 69% of those votes. So appreciate everybody hanging out and giving a vote on there. Again, if you are new to Dolly TV, this is an Edmonton Oilers channel by trade, so definitely if you would consider hitting that subscribe button if you're an Oilers fan or a hockey fan, consider sticking around and hanging out with me for this NHL season. It's been a dandy so far, hasn't it, over to the Oilers? They are just now getting Zach Hyman back, so we'll see what effect that has on the team as they try to get things rallied up here for what should be a really good rest of the season now that the team's semi getting healthier, that's for sure. So we will see what happens here, but we are going to get set for the next possession here for Montreal as the road to the Grey Cup. 10-8 record, second in the East, defeated Winnipeg 42-33 in the Eastern semi-final, defeated Hamilton 19-16 in the Eastern final, and Davis Alexander 13-0 record to start his career includes the postseason. Montreal takes over at their own 40. We'll see what they can do here with this ball. Davis Alexander, the last pass he threw was intercepted by the Rough Riders. Instead, this one's just a quick pass right up the gut, just about 4 yards short of the first down to Rambo. And Rambo obviously walked that one. His first few receiving yards of the game. He was impactful there in the Eastern final. That's for sure. I believe I saw his name all over that game while attending a birthday party. We'll have an opportunity here. Second down conversion for the Montreal Canadiens in 2025. They were 46.8%. That ranked them 5th in the CFL. Here's Davis Alexander again. He's going to hand it off for the run. It's up the gut, and the stumble there, the hit, throws the running back in a weird direction and falls down over top of the first down line. So the yardage gain carries, and the Montreal Alouettes will have a first down now 6 minutes into the Grey Cup. As that was a beautiful little run there, a great little handoff, got it going immediately, and then just the hit there kind of launches Scott the right way over the first down line. He fumbles his legs in the right direction, and the Alouettes were a plus 51 point differential in the first quarter of this season, so they're at their 51-yard line again here. Things didn't go so good last time. And here's another throw from Davis Alexander. It ends up landing out of bounds. Collision there. Rambo and a defensive player for the Rough Riders. And they will force a second down and 10 out of the Montreal Alouettes here. So Rambo all over this game. 2 targets so far in this sequence. And Alexander just kind of a little bit maybe overthrew that ball. Yeah, the thought was there to go downfield. Just Rambo was a little bit out of play by the time the ball got there, right? So here we go. Alouettes lining up for a 2nd and 10. Second down on this drive so far. 8:20 to go here in the first quarter as Alexander will throw right up the middle, and it will force a third down as Spiker catches the ball 5 yards shy of the first down line. So we'll get things going for the next bit of special teams here. Both teams kind of struggling to get upfield quickly here in this ball game so far. Of course, Davis Alexander not quite shy of going deep so far in this ball game, but yeah, he's been trying to get things going. It'll be a punt now for the Montreal Alouettes as the Riders lead this ball game 1-0. 7:40 to go, 3rd and 5 for the Alouettes. So we'll be punting from the Saskatchewan 54. It's going to go deep into the Saskatchewan end zone, and it bounced out and bounces out of the bounds at the Saskatchewan 3-yard line. So that ball kind of had some carry back to it, and it ends up a perfect punt for the Montreal Alouettes. That much is for sure. And thankfully for the Riders, they're able to stave off giving the Alouettes a point on that one. So we'll have a commercial break here, friends. It's a 1-0 lead for the Riders over top of the Montreal Alouettes. We're about 6 minutes into the ball game so far, and I'll get you some stats here right now as we'll see what happens here. Let's see what I can find for stats in today's ball game so far, as we have that, NFL, CFL, there we go. Still nothing, so that's the fun part about Sportsnet. They give you no stats on that stuff, so my apologies there, but it has been an absolute frantic pace to this ball game to start. That is the CFL. That's the exciting part about it, is the CFL is a much more fast-paced game compared to the NFL, and so far so good for both teams, as neither team giving up a score yet. Of course, Saskatchewan punting it into the end zone there, and Montreal covering it up, giving up the 1 point. That's no big deal, as it could be everything by the end of the ball game. But for right now, Montreal just trying to figure out how to get Davis Alexander to throw a ball downfield and have somebody catch it instead of having it intercepted or whatever the case might be. So we are just on commercial break right now. The Riders, like I said, up 1-0 over top of the Montreal Alouettes. Again, right now TSN Plus also has a bundle right now that's a year of sports for 30% off. Offer ends December 1st. Would be a great time to grab that, watch tonight's ball game, and then as well get that going for the World Juniors, which you'll be able to watch similar to this coverage here on Dolly TV. Friends, again, you are seeing how out of my depth I am right now, but if you're enjoying things and want to see me more in my depth covering the Edmonton Oilers, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button here on the channel. I wouldn't say subscribe for tonight's live stream. I would say subscribe if you're an Oilers fan, as Trevor Harris will take over right on his own goal line, basically. Saskatchewan third. It's a 1st and 10, as Harris is going to hand it off for a run. It's up the gut there, and the Riders will gain about 4 yards, 5 yards on that run. 7:13 on the clock here in the first quarter, as the Grey Cup officially underway. And you know what? We're almost halfway through this more than halfway through this first quarter now, and things are looking good for both teams. Still basically scoreless, 1-0 Saskatchewan. 2nd and 5 from the Saskatchewan 8. That's going to allow Trevor Harris some breathing room to pass that ball from his own end zone, basically, as the Montreal Alouettes a perfect punt on their last possession to hammer the Riders deep in their own territory. Is this going to be a opportunity now for Harris to pass the ball? He double looks, and he's going to pass this one right to the first down marker. They believe they've gained the line. 6:30 to go here in the first quarter now, as Emilius ends up catching that one, takes heavy contact, gets down right on the yellow line, and that should allow the Riders to start marching upfield here. 1st and 10 at the Saskatchewan 13 or 14, depending on how they line that one up, as Trevor Harris had some coverage. He looked to the right and then went left, as that was just kind of covered up there on the right hand side. So now we'll see what happens, as the Alouettes have kind of given Trevor Harris a couple of things to think about, at least to start this ball game. And now 5:58 to go, 8 seconds on the play clock. Trevor Harris gets the ball going. Ouellette will carry upfield for the Riders. He is stuffed right there, basically just a yard or two up off the line of scrimmage. And that'll do it for that, as it'll be a 2nd and 8. 2nd and 9, they're going to rule it. Ooh, that run did not go according to plan for the Riders whatsoever. And we'll see what happens here, as this was a tough go there for Saskatchewan. So give me a second here, friends. I'm just going to quickly fix something here. And we'll see if I can fix this here. There we go. We can fix that. Perfect. Try and get that going for you. So it'll be a 2nd and 9 from the Riders 15. The ball up in the air, and it is off the ground and out of the hands of the Riders. So we'll have a 3rd and 9 deep in their own territory there from their 15-yard line. 3rd and 9. That's a tough passing play that doesn't work out for the Riders. And so far, Trevor Harris definitely not connecting as well as he'd hope. I mean, Davis Alexander not doing much better either, but we'll see how this one pans out for the Riders on the punt here. Basically punting off the goal line. So that's an interesting thing to keep tabs on as well, as the Alouettes line up ready to attack here, as the punt there from the Riders will be up in the air. It's going to hit about center field, about to the Owls 50. There's a flag on the field. The Owls are swallowed up just at center. And we'll see what this flag is all about. As the Alouettes, I don't know if that was actually a flag. I saw the referee drop something. Again, that's kind of my problem, right? I'm not a football specialist, much more a hockey guy. But right now we're at least hoping that the Alouettes are going to start connecting here a little bit, and then the Riders can respond, as this first quarter winding down rather quickly, and both teams trying to get through two tough defenses right now. I mean, both defenses not really giving up much so far, and both teams having to fight through what's been a quick start to the game with nothing really in the way of scoring happening. So a couple of possessions aside, and now we'll see if the Montreal Alouettes can finally get a ball down deep field and catch it, or not have it intercepted. One of the two. We've already seen them get a ball deep downfield that wasn't intercepted, but that first possession of the game, I feel like that, you know what, in this first half might be the most costly thing that happened for the Montreal Alouettes throughout and through, unless, you know, they have an interception that goes back for 6 points. But they had a chance to set the tone, and that ball in deep double coverage, you know, ends up just putting off what was good momentum to start the ball game, right? They got a 20-yard kickoff return. Like, there was a lot going on there for the Owls on that first possession. And so far, the Riders, they've had a little bit going, but not much really to write home yet about for a team that is looking to try and win this thing and send a lot of you folks home happy. Right now, we got 438 votes on the poll here in the chat, and we're up at 68% of you going for the Riders. So again, I would say if you haven't already had a chance to vote in the poll, definitely make sure to do that. As let's do that and see where this keeps rocking. Friends, I appreciate you hanging out. Again, if you've been enjoying the stream so far, I know it's been shaky at best, but Davis Alexander about set to get under center and get going. If you haven't already left a like on the stream, definitely would appreciate that if you could. Just allows other people to find the stream across YouTube a little bit more as we get closer and closer to this next possession for the Montreal Alouettes. Again, the ball's right near center field, so that's kind of going to be the situation here. The Riders were hammered in by the Owls on the last punt, and now the Riders on their forced punt are going to have to really come up with some strong defense on back-to-back possessions to hopefully force the Owls into the same situation as last possession. Is Davis Alexander ready? And he will hand off this ball right away, and that will be a gain of maybe a yard for the Montreal Alouettes off a scrimmage right there. So we're now at 4:20 to go in the first quarter with a 1-0 Saskatchewan lead. And right now, both teams, like I said, just struggling to put together some offense, but looking to try and get it upfield now. Davis Alexander, likely a passing play here. 13-0 record as a starter, including playoffs for Davis Alexander, as this will be another opportunity. Likely, like I said, passing here for Alexander as he'll load up. He's going to go deep again. This ball deep into open territory at the Riders' 15, and it's down. What a catch there for the Montreal Alouettes, and the first time inside the 20 for either team in this ball game. A huge dart from Davis Alexander. What a shot downfield, and what an opportunity now for the Montreal Alouettes. An opportunity at least, bare minimum, to score a field goal and take the lead in this ball game. But just what a shot downfield. Was that, I think I know the guy's name. I'm just going to hold off at being incorrect, but great catch there by Philpott for the Owls, and he's down on the field right at, he catches it right at the 19 and then stumbles his knees down about the 17 or 16 there for the Owls. So the Owls will have an opportunity here to put the fire to the Rough Riders. Like I said, it was just a matter of time, the way that Davis Alexander has been throwing the ball downfield, that he finds somebody to catch one. Tyson Philpott with 10 catches, 135 yards, and a touchdown in the Eastern semifinal. 1st and 10 at the Saskatchewan 16 for Jason Moss and the Montreal Alouettes, as they will try and find the first major score in this ball game. As we are just taking a moment here. 3:42 to go in the first quarter of the game. Malik Carney down and injured on the field. He's just walking off now. 5th-year player out of North Carolina. As the Riders and Alouettes get set to do this thing from the Saskatchewan 16. The first time inside the 20 for either team in this game so far. Riders filled with punts so far, and the Alouettes not much better. A punt and basically an interception from Davis Alexander. So here we go. Alexander looking to pass this one right in first down and inside the 5-yard line for the Owls right there as Philpott, another catch. 2 back-to-back huge gains here out of Philpott and Alexander for the Alouettes. And that'll be the start to this ball game that the Alouettes were looking for at long last, as Philpott gets going, drives contact into the 5-yard line. And now what happens? Well, that's a good question here for the Alouettes and the Rough Riders. Right at the 5-yard line, are the Owls going to try and pass this one into the end zone? It looks like they will. As no, this is actually going to be a handoff, as this is going to be down to the 2 or 3 yard line, depending on where the referee marks him down. But right like that, the Owls are second and goal, 2:45 to go, and a 1-0 score for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, up 1-0, like I said, over top of the Montreal Alouettes to start this ball game in the first quarter, as that was a quick head into traffic there for the Owls running back. And a good looking opportunity here, still alive for the Montreal Alouettes. See what happens. As, hey, Jim. Sorry, I'm assuming Jim. No problem. Glad to have you along from Rio de Janeiro tonight. As Davis Alexander is on the sideline, second and goal. They're just going to try and run this one in here with backup quarterback. As this is going to be a little bit of a head towards the end zone, and he is not going to be able to get it there. Stuffed at the 1 yard line, and the Riders, a strong defensive effort right there to make sure the Alouettes don't score. And now with 1:50 to go, it's third and goal still for the Owls. You're going to see the overhead angle, which will show that ball definitively did not cross the goal line whatsoever, as there was a reach for it, and yeah, sure, it got close to that white line, but not over the white line. So tough go there for the Owls, as they definitely thought they had a play to be made there, but they just couldn't get the job done. And the Riders, strong defense at their 1 yard line. Here's some fans with the old Pilsner 15-pack cowboy hats in the stands there. That's Saskatchewan for you. Love it. As we'll get things going here across the line, and the Owls are in. They have scored the opening touchdown of the 112th Grey Cup. It is now, for the time being, a 6-1 score. Montreal over top of the Saskatchewan Roughriders as we get this ball game started with the first major score. As we got support from Napanee, Ontario tonight as we get things going. Ace, like I said, 6-1 as the Alouettes just punch it in there off the goal line, basically the 1 yard line across the line, and a good push there from the offensive line gets the score across for the Montreal Alouettes, and now the Riders forced to return this ball and hopefully respond. 6 plays, 54 yards, 3 minutes and 30 seconds chewed off the clock on the scoring play for the Montreal Alouettes. Now the kicker here for the Owls will try and line up a 7-1 game with just under a minute to go here in this 112th Grey Cup. The kick is good for the Alouettes right through the uprights, and there you go, live from Winnipeg. It's a 7-1 game between the Montreal Alouettes and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Owls scoring the first touchdown of the game after finally Davis Alexander connected on a huge shot downfield. We'll go to commercial break, and then we'll see if the kickoff return bodes anything. Friends, again, if you are new to the channel, I would say I'd encourage you to subscribe if you want to stick around for Edmonton Oilers coverage. This channel, Dolan TV, normally a Oilers channel, so appreciate if you want to stick around and hang out here with us. I see, like I said, seeing Ace in the chat, but seeing plenty of other old faces as well hanging around the live stream this evening. So give me just a second. I'm going to go quickly grab a little snack upstairs, and we'll be right back to live coverage in a matter of moments. All right, let's do this. Sorry, friends, just a quick run upstairs, a quick break, and away we go. As you see, that's they're showing the breakdown of how the Owls scored that touchdown. Phil Pott finding himself all alone over there in the far side of the field near that 15-yard line. He was able to score a couple of big yards for the Alouettes and ultimately lead to the touchdown that has them up 7-1 to begin this ball game. First quarter about to bleed down, and then we'll be up and done. 1 quarter of the Grey Cup. Hold on, we're reconnecting. What is going on? We're good to go. So we should be ready to rock and roll here. as we are going to delete that. Okay, here we go. What do we got going on? Is this... Okay, we're just waiting for both teams to take the field here, and for some reason I can't seem to get my TV coordinated here, but we're getting closer and closer. Harris 2 for 4 and 11 yards on the game so far. The kickoff got back to the 37-yard line for the Riders. This one through the middle will be received on the pass from Harris to Emilius, and it'll be a gain of about 5 yards there for the Riders as they get closer and closer to marching up to this first down with 18 seconds to go. 2nd and 5. Not sure if the Riders are going to try and push one more play here or just take over on the other side of the field there with, of course, the clock winding down here. 6 seconds to go. Harris is going to go to the line, and the clock is going to run out to end the quarter here. So we will have just 6 seconds on the play clock. Final play of the first quarter. Here's Harris running. He's going to throw upfield, and it'll be a catch right there at the Owls 40, and that'll be a way to start this next quarter, as that was a beautiful catch there for Myers on the pass from Harris. He kind of stepped up in the pocket and threw that one downfield, and that's the first long toss we've seen from Harris all game, and it's good to go for what is the end of the first quarter. Is there's a 7-1 game in Winnipeg. The Alouettes lead the Riders 7-1. And Davis Alexander, a couple of deep bombs downfield. He's been picked off once. Phil Potts caught the other one. And the one out of bounds to Rambo obviously doesn't matter. But right now, as it currently sits, it's a 7-1 game between the Alouettes and the Rough Riders as we're closing in on, well, now the start of the second quarter. Appreciate you being along for the ride here on Dolany TV, friends. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for choosing to hang out today. As I know most of you probably have some bigger plans for the night, but for myself personally, just didn't have any big plans, so thought I'd sit back and live stream the ball game this evening, and I think that was a wise choice here as we're closing in on, I gotta say, quite a show here tonight. Appreciate you hanging out. That much is for sure, as we're at 13:107. We are up over 300 hours on the live stream. You guys watching back home so far in an hour and 15 minutes. So definitely, like I said, appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate you being a part of the success here on the channel. And of course, definitely if you want to stay tuned for more Oilers coverage, that would be greatly appreciated. I guess to say there's not a lot of CFL coverage coming the rest of the winter here. And the other side too, well, let's make sure of this. The Blue Jays a little bit part of the channel, as well as a good Canadian kid. I do try and cover the Blue Jays a little bit today. So that's where we currently sit, friends. We're rolling along here in this what is going to be now second quarter between the Alouettes and the Rough Riders. A great gain there. They're somewhat deep into Montreal territory, somewhere around the 40-yard line, and Shea Patterson with the touchdown for the Alouettes. That's why they're up 7-1 to begin this ball game right now through the first quarter. So we've got only 3 quarters ball left here between the Riders and Alouettes. What I will tell you is I'll put you on that subscribe ad there during the second half. I'm going to go quickly eat the pizza I grabbed. Earlier today before I set up the stream, so as I can actually have dinner, and then we'll get to the second half of football here shortly. First downs, 5 for the Alouettes, 3 for the Riders, 45 passing yards for the Riders, 60 for the Alouettes. Rushing yards, pretty dang similar, 21-20. And obviously turnovers, the big costly one for Montreal. That one was the tough go as they threw it downfield there to start the game after receiving the kickoff, and Davis Alexander was picked off. You got Glenn Suter and Rod Smith in the booth for this 112th Grey Cup for TSN's coverage. Nyril, welcome aboard. We'll get closing in closer to the next down of football here, as both teams just taking a brief pause for the end of the quarter. The Saskatchewan Roughriders take over at the Montreal 39, and it'll be Harris handing off to Ouellette. Ouellette to the outside. He'll gain about, 4 yards, 3 yards there, as he's finally down around the 35-yard line to begin this second quarter of football between the Owls and Riders. We're going to see what this possession does for the Riders. Like I said, in that first quarter, it was all about just at some point the Rough Riders were gonna seemed like, the Owls would score first, and then the Riders would have to respond, and that's kind of where we're at. It's the drive starting so far in this ball game for the Owls' own 46 versus the own 26th for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And here's a pass to the outside, and the Riders are downfield in a hurry. Great play from Emilius, and that's going to get the Riders within the 10-yard line here. And we'll see what happens here. That was a beautiful pass and a beautiful roll there by Emilius. Once he received that ball to get it downfield in a hurry, Harris spots him in the middle of his coverage and just kind of gets him rolling to the outside. Great play there by the Riders to hold up the man on the outside to allow it to happen. And so far we haven't seen any, if at all, flags here out of the both teams. Ouellette up the field in a hurry as well. He's going to get spun out, gaining 4 or 5 yards again. And there you have it. The Riders marching towards that goal line that was lucky for the Alouettes just moments ago. So just like that, the Riders in scoring territory, 2nd and 5 to go. And we'll see what happens here as this one's getting closer and closer, as this is Ouellette right down, getting tossed down. 2nd and 5 from the Montreal 7. Red zone touchdowns this year, 30 for 48 were the Riders, as this will be handed by Harris out to the outside, and a big catch there, but Emilius is blowing up out of bounds, and that'll be short of the first down marker. So now what the Riders choose to do here could be a big moment in this ball game, a big decider in how this ball game plays out, as the handoff was faked, and then Emilius just gets going, charging hard, but he kind of gets the arm up around the neck there and ends up getting tossed out of bounds rather quick. So 3rd and short, 3rd and 2 this season for the Riders has been 27 for 30. So you're rolling dang near 90%. I would say go for it. And the Riders, they are indeed going to go for it here. Feeling that they've got something. Harris to the outside pass will be knocked down, and Montreal will receive the ball at their own 4-yard line. What a stop there for Montreal, as that pass is no good. And Winnipeg Blue Bombers fans going for Montreal has got to be one of the most hilarious things I'm going to see today. But that Harris pass was tipped away by Montreal last second. Arm coverage on the hands of the receiver for Saskatchewan, and Montreal is able to hand off another possession for the Riders without a major score. And just like that, we're going to keep things rolling here as Montreal will take over on their 4-yard line. Andrews cheering for the Owls. Well, so far so good for them. Up 7-1 here to begin this second quarter of ball, as it's been a heck of a start to this ball game. And I mean, it's been fun. As far as entertainment value goes, this is the CFL Grey Cup right now, and that's beautiful to see. So see what happens. Keep rocking and rolling along here in a 7-1 Alouettes lead. Davis Alexander, obviously the big throw downfield. That's been the major difference. I mean, yeah, Trevor Harris just had a couple himself, but the Rough Riders unable to cash in on that. So we'll see how this shapes out the rest of the way home here in this second quarter. That's the big part. We're going to have a big break here in a matter of a few moments, and KBM Ento came up with the huge pass breakup to obviously stop Saskatchewan at their 4-yard line, and that was a massive go. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens here as things keep going along in this what is now second quarter of ball already. Friends, definitely we'll take a look here to see as the poll is starting to shift a little bit. We were at 70% on 300 some odd votes. Sitting here, we were at 70%, but now down to 68% for the Riders, up to 32% for the Alouettes on 525 votes. So we're seeing how things will go. And looks like there's going to be some kind of referee review or something here. So they are calling pass interference on Ento. And it'll be a first down for the Riders. There you go. There's your first bit of First bit of drama out of the CFL Grey Cup. The pass interference at the goal line will cost the Montreal Alouettes possession, as they're ruling that Anthem was too much draped over top of the Rough Riders receiver, thus breaking up that ball and costing the touchdown for the Riders. So a second chance to get this done with a new set of downs. First and goal at the Montreal 1. Corey Mace is looking on like, whew, that's a big break for us. So there you go. The Riders get the chance. 12:05 to go in the second quarter. Montreal 1 is Trevor Harris is not on the field. It'll be a quarterback sneak up the middle, and in it goes. So there you go. Both teams have scored via the quarterback rushing in from the 1 yard line. It is now a 7-7 game for the time being between the Alouettes and Rough Riders. And that's a big time touchdown for Saskatchewan. We always, well, here on the stream I was saying, we just needed to see them respond. Obviously that was going to be the case here. And that is a touchdown after the pass interference. A tough break for the Montreal Alouettes as the Riders able to punch it in there. So here we go. We'll see what happens as this one keeps rocking and rolling. Scoring play, 8 plays, 73 yards. That'll line up the kick for the Rough Riders to once again take a 1-point lead. Lothar in to boot this ball through the uprights. He will indeed get that done. And there it is. So there it is. We are ready to rock and roll here, friends, for the next Alouettes possession. As it is kind of going to see what happens. I don't know. There's only a few comments here rolling in. I know, Peace, you're making jokes about that there, but definitely if you think that the touchdowns have been good so far, anybody let me know. At any time, I'm free to chat about this game and only keep periodic updates going. But right now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Is Tommy Stevens, 5 rushing TDs this season. He's been absolutely lighting it up, I guess, for the Riders. That's not a bad season out of a backup quarterback, is it? Because that is a hard pass interference call to take if you're the Alouettes, ultimately leading to a touchdown for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. But you know, at the end of the day, that's going to end up happening at some point. And it's unfortunate it happens there. Montreal with 2 tough breaks. Obviously an interception so far in this game that led to the first point scored for the Riders, and a tough break there at the goal line leads to, of course, points being scored again. So here we go. Saskatchewan to kick off the ball from their own 30. The big boot there, and it's looking like it's going to line up to the far side of the field near the 10. Montreal rushing up to at least the 30, rushing still to the 40, and just about to the 45, somewhere between the 43 and 44 yard line. Davis Alexander will take over for the Montreal Canadiens, as Montreal's Grey Cup winning QBs here is 1949 Frank Filchoke, Sonny Wade in 1970, 74, and 77. You got Anthony Calvillo in 2002, 2009, and 2010. 2023, Cody Fajardo. And now you're looking to see if it'll be Davis Alexander, adding to that Montreal legacy here right now. So 1st and 10 on the Montreal 44-yard line, Paul. Yeah, the Riders went for it on 3rd down. The ball was knocked away by the Montreal defense, and somehow, some way, they were able to get the pass interference call and punch it in for the touchdown on the next play. Gillis TV, that's what I was saying let's go Riders, as I would say Gillis TV is going to be pretty proud of this whole live stream, firing up and cheering for the Riders. Friends, if you haven't left a like yet already, definitely make sure to do that here on the channel. We're closing in on 60 likes here on the live stream tonight, as we're getting some cheers in for the Riders. Again, here we go, the chat lighting up. Thanks, friends. As we're going to see what Davis Alexander and the Montreal Alouettes have to do to respond to a couple of back-to-back scoring drives for both teams. The Alouettes scored, and then promptly the Riders end up scoring as well. And now the Alouettes will take over at their own 44. 1st and 10, Davis Alexander ready to rock and roll. He's going to go to the far side to Rambo, who's going to be swallowed up rather quickly by the Riders, but he's going to fall forward and gain about 3 or 4 yards to start this drive for Montreal. And just like that, we are back in action here on the broadcast, aren't we? As Davis Alexander quickly looked over to Rambo, knew he was standing right there, passed him the ball, and Rambo did the rest. Just pushing forward, trying his best to push that ball across the 45-yard line. He got all the way up to the 47, halfway between the 47 and the 48, as the Alouettes will take over again and try and get this going on second down. Instead, it's going to be quickly swallowed up by the Riders' defense, and the Alouettes, very much so shy of the first down line, are going to have to do something here. Probably punt, but it looks like Davis Alexander trying to talk with the sidelines. He's trying to figure out what they're going to do here. 10:17 to go in this second quarter. The Riders, it's a 3rd and 2 for the Alouettes. So, I mean, you're within go-for-it territory here as time continues to tick down towards the halftime show. And I can taste that pizza already, getting excited as we get things rolling towards things going. Saskatchewan fans might be familiar with the place I got pizza from tonight, the old beefsteak. If you ever heard of the beefsteak, you know what I'm talking about. As we get things, the Riders are going to get the special teams on the field. It looks like the Alouettes will indeed punt this ball downfield, and a solid defensive effort out of the Riders at least to start this drive. And now it depends how this punt goes from about the 55-yard line. It's at the 52 Montreal side. Here's the punt. It's going to go into the far corner again. The Riders chasing after it. They catch it just shy of the 10-yard line. Riders up quickly, get decked there around the 20-yard line, but a solid enough return to keep the Riders away from a costly mistake. And so far, right, there's been no sacks in the game so far. And I think so far both defenses just playing possession to possession ball and doing a good job doing it. As McDiesel, welcome aboard as well as we get things going in an 8-7 Rough Riders lead here in this ball game so far, as they're once again advertising SiriusXM here on the broadcast. And we're going to quickly take a look here to see where we're pacing right now as we're at. Looking not bad at all. As friends, definitely right now what I'm going to do to you right now, if you're looking for some intermission entertainment, well, not intermission, I guess halftime entertainment, and you're wondering what Dolany TV truly is all about, I'll give you this right now as we'll go over here to today's Oilers offering. If you haven't had a chance to catch up yet, definitely feel free to click in there and get going on today's video. Of course, appreciate all the support here on the live stream so far, friends. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, I definitely encourage you to do that here on Dolany TV. Stay up to date with the Edmonton Oilers. And who knows, maybe next year we'll come do this crazy thing called the Grey Cup again. Overall, I'd say the numbers that you guys are showing in the sport you're showing and the average watch time, I'd say it's definitely something we got to think about doing again next year. If not for certain, do again next year. So I appreciate everybody being aboard for the ride here tonight. And right now we're looking to watch that highlight there of Tommy Stevens punching it into the end zone. Great game for him so far. Of course, both just punched in by the backup quarterback. So Aquila cheering for the Riders as well as we get things going at the half for the Grey Cup, as we also have a couple other people updating us as well. So we're getting things going, friends. If I was drinking straight unhinged vodka, you'd be calling me crazy. No, I'm drinking pure water. 5 years sober as of this summer. Gary's cheering for the Owls. As the Riders gained a few yards there on the rush. So it's a 2nd and 8 from the Saskatchewan 20. That's where we're at. So we'll see what's going to happen here in this drive for this. And Dan, I wish I could post the scores on the screen. Unfortunately, Sportsnet doesn't have an available screen grab, which I mean is no big deal, but normally the TSN screen grabs don't work for me, and that's another case here tonight. Just the way TSN runs their website interferes with me being able to grab the score. So Saskatchewan up 8-7. They just ran up the field for the old pass and first down right there as you gets it going for the Riders. And it'll be a 1st and 10 outside of their own 30 here, as that's a perfect little pass there from Trevor Harris to find the man wide open, and then obviously as well to punch up through a few players, about 3 of them for the first down there for the Riders. And now all of a sudden we got another possession going here for the Riders as they march upfield again. Saskatchewan at their own 29. I thought they got past the 30. I guess just kind of where the ball fell. As we'll see what happens here. There's a plus 103 point differential in the second and third quarter for the Riders this year. The rush to the outside, Ouellette cuts back to the middle and jumps right across that first down line. He gains about 13 yards on the rush. Suddenly Saskatchewan cooking with gas here as they get punching up the field in a hurry as Trevor Harris just handed that ball off rather quickly to Ouellette, and he looked like he was going to be able to rush to the outside quite substantially. Chose to come back up the middle and just for sure take the first down. A wise decision right there, and now an 8-7 score with 7:20 to go in the second quarter. Andrew Harris, the running back coach for the Saskatchewan Riders, as this is going to be handed off again. No, good fake there by Harris, and here's a pass up to the far side of the field, and Riders able to gain about 6 yards there on that play. So proven champion there for Andrew Harris himself. 56 carries in the Grey Cup history, 334 rushing yards, 58 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 championships for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers over the course of his career there. So here we go. It's 8-7 right now as the Chat's taking care of things as this ball will be picked up by Harris off the snap, up the middle, and again the Riders gain field, and oh boy, what an effort there from the Rough Riders receiver to keep on pushing upfield and get that one going, as that was a beautiful pass upfield to get things going. So Terry's cheering for the Riders as well as Harris quickly darted that ball out. There was no messing around there. It was straight to the chest kind of pass and right up the middle, and just a great effort by 89 for the Riders to keep running upfield at all costs to try and take up as much yardage as possible. Off balance, defender wrapped around his ankles. Didn't matter. Ended up getting it going at the Montreal 50, 1st and 10. This will be a fake handoff again. Harris is going to go over to Ouellette this time, who's going to easily rumble downfield for quite a gain of yardage past the 20 into the red zone. And Ouellette, the big man, gets downfield in a hurry. 1st and 10 for the Riders inside the Montreal 20. And here we go. All of a sudden, you can feel the Riders gaining a little bit of momentum to their game here. And Trevor Harris with about a 4 or 5 yard pass that ends up going downfield for 30 plus yards. What a run there from Ouellette, and what an opportunity to get things going here for the Riders, now inside scoring territory. Let's see what they can do. Montreal 19-yard line for the Riders. Ouellette's going to carry this one upfield a little bit again. He's going to punch it down to about the 12-yard line. There's a flag on the play, and Montreal very quickly reacted to that. And we're going to see what the flag is for. As this one. Holding against Saskatchewan. So it'll be a 10-yard penalty against Saskatchewan. It'll remain a first down, as this looks like it's a hold on the center. So Ouellette ends up punching that ball downfield a little bit more, as current drive 7 plays started on the Saskatchewan 18, 64 yards so far, 4.5 minutes chewed off the clock. We only have 4 minutes 45 seconds to go in this first half, as the Riders 1st and 20 at the Montreal 28 now. Harris is going to chuck this ball downfield to the 20, to the 15. Is he going to get there? He will! The pile pushes him there, does the Saskatchewan Roughriders receiver. And just like that, the Riders regain all that lost yardage right there, right down to the 15. Another first down for the Riders. Or no, I guess not. Hey? They just erased a whole bunch of yardage lost, I guess. And now 2nd down and 7 or whatever it would be at that point. So that was a heck of a run there to get things going for Emilius. Emilius just catches that ball high and then spins off the defender and works his way down to that 15. And ultimately the dog pile sends him down to the 15-yard line. Jamarcus Hardick, the 2025 most outstanding lineman for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Here's Harris now. 2nd and 7. The catch made, but they're going to have to settle likely for a field goal here unless they got within 2 yards, as it looks like the Riders are actually going to go for it on 3rd and 1. Okay, Gillis TV with the update. My TV is already behind. Don't know what's going on here. Seems to be blacking out every time there's something major happening. Of course, friends, don't forget to go on down to Canadian Tire. Early Black Friday deal, apparently, according to the broadcast, is what it is. As we get closer and closer to the end zone here for the Riders. 3:12 to go in this second quarter. Plenty of time left on the play clock as Stevens will take over the ball. 3rd and 1. So that ball got a lot closer than I thought it did, as Stevens will try and again punch down for yardage. He will, and he will gain a lot. He will. That is probably the most gain on that kind of play I've ever seen, as he punches it up 6 yards, and the Riders are within the Montreal 5-yard line. And Stevens kind of having the game of his life here all of a sudden. He's kind of punching that one across, and in the duty he's getting going. So right there, friends, the Winnipeg 112th Grey Cup getting going right now, with the Saskatchewan Roughriders closing in on obviously getting to that territory where they can score again. And important backup quarterback in here tonight for the Riders. And of course, if you are new to the channel as well, I'd encourage you to hit that subscribe button for more Edmonton Oilers coverage. I know it's not quite something that you might be looking for here as a fan of the CFL, but I feel like if you're a fan of the CFL, you might be a fan at least of the NHL or the Edmonton Oilers, if all you're looking for that. So we are closing in on halftime here, friends. The Riders lead 8-7 with just a few minutes left here in this second quarter of ball. And we'll see how that all shakes out here as we keep going along. Just on commercial break right now. Of course, something I wish we could sit down and watch tonight is Lion Man. Got to save that for tomorrow night. But yeah, definitely would be a great time to sit down and watch some TV once this all wraps up. But it's 5:45 and we got to go to work tomorrow morning. So we'll watch the football game, finish off dinner, and go to bed. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you, really. It's been a great game out of the Riders, and Owls now starting to turn momentum. The Owls had a little bit of the momentum more so in that first quarter, except the one giveaway they had there on the interception. But now it's an 8-7 game, and the Riders looking to punch another ball in. So, yeah, we'll see what happens here as we get closer and closer. As Gillis TV does get to watch Lion Man. I like that here tonight. So we're rolling up, closing in on the big goal here tonight, as we are now an hour and 38 minutes. That's it in the live stream. See, this is what I love about the CFL. We're an hour 38 in the live stream, and we're closing in on not much really time lost over the course of the day. 2:45 to go. First and goal, Montreal 5-yard line. The Alouettes are going to try and punch this or keep that out. Sorry, Ouellette was where I was going with that. He punches that in for the Riders just like that. I botched the call nonetheless. It's 14-7 for the Riders for the time being. 2:38 to go in the second quarter, and in the first half overall, the Riders, what a run there. Harris passed that off to Ouellette just on the nice little nifty handoff there, and a perfectly executed play by Ouellette. The jump to the outside and then the punch through the hole, and nobody could defend him. And just like that, all of a sudden, we've got a 14-7 Riders score. The kicker will try and line this one up. The Riders looking to take complete control of this game. Headed in to the third quarter. So here we go. The kick to make it 15-7 Rough Riders. Will it be good? Well, we'll find out in a second. Yes, it will. The ball ended up completely sideways there, but a couple of clutch plays there for the Riders ends up with a scoring play. Ouellette running through the right side of the defense for the Owls, and it ends up being 15-7, friends. This is going to be absolutely interesting to see how this gets going here tonight. So the Riders score, and just like that, that's where we're at, friends. Appreciate the support for the Riders, but it looks like the votes are slipping. If you're just joining the chat and you're supporting the Riders, you might want to go vote in the poll at the top of the chat. slipped down to 67%. The Owls getting a little bit more support game by or minute by minute here. And hey, if you're supporting the Alouettes, hey, don't feel shy to throw your cheer for your team in the chat here. Definitely would love to hear from you as well. This is Canada's game after all, and we love the support from coast to coast as we get closer and closer to halftime. And obviously, for me, getting to eat dinner, that's what I'm looking forward to when it comes to halftime, that is for sure. So, friends, I can officially tell you right now, altogether, we've spent an hour and 40 minutes together, but you've hung out here on the live stream for a combined 401 hours so far. So definitely appreciate the support here on Dolany TV tonight. As, yeah, it's been an interesting go here so far. The Riders leading, right now, 15-7. If you are new to the channel, I would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button for more Edmonton Oilers coverage. Again, I can't really promote that too heavy without explaining this is an Edmonton Oilers channel, and I just decided on a night where I couldn't find a party to go to sit here and live stream the Grey Cup for you. So appreciate you being aboard and hanging out. That's really all it comes down to at the end of the day. Is I didn't know how this was going to turn out, and it's turned out pretty dang fabulous so far. So they're going to show the replay of that one more time. Just the edge defender there for the Alouettes for the Riders doing exactly what needed to happen for Ouellette to score that touchdown. A beautiful play there for sure as Ouellette goes charging into the end zone and gets the job done. And now we'll see what happens here is obviously the Owls and Rough Riders in a 15-7 game. The kickoff to the Alouettes down to their 20. It'll be picked up there, and they'll rush upfield 30-yard line to the 32, and the Owls will take things over. So see what's happening here is what's for supper, Michael? Well, what's for supper is we got pizza. I was smart, game planned ahead of time. Went down to the beefsteak and picked up a pizza, so life is good. We'll see the Owls take over here. 6 for 8, 69 yards for Davis Alexander so far in this game. And we'll see what he can do on this next one. Again, if the Owls get the ball deep in the air, you know that they've got a good opportunity to score, but instead it's a handoff for a run. And right now, the running back doing a good job for the Owls getting to a 2nd and 3rd. So that's where we're at. It is what it is. We're getting closer and closer to a first down minute by minute here for the Owls. We'll see what happens. Scott just he got tangled up there for a second and then ended up being able to shake off coverage and get to a 2nd and 2 actually. And then it'll be Scott again across the first down marker in for about 4 or 5, 6 yards maybe. And just like that, we are rolling on this Owls drive. Stevie Scott the third, rushing yards 25-43 looks like it. On the season, I actually the screen just blacked out again for some reason, having struggle squad here trying to keep coverage. And instead now it'll be a 1st and 10 from Montreal's 45, a passing play there to Scott. Will load up across the line, and that'll be another first down for the Montreal Alouettes, who continue to carry upfield. 2:01 to go in this second quarter as Alexander quickly got that ball out of possession. As soon as Scott took coverage, he just shook the man off through the shoulder and got upfield and ran with the ball. So here we go. This will be a 15-7 score, minute 53 to go, 1st and 10, as this is going to be an opportunity now for Alexander, down by 8, and the pass to Scott, he just booted that one about 3 ways to Sunday, and it'll be a 2nd down for the Alouettes there. So it's good to go here so far. It's good so far for the Riders. 15-7. Alexander threw that ball with a little bit of authority, but Scott just couldn't quite basket that ball. It slipped through him, and then he kicked it right at the Riders defender coming to defend him. 2nd down conversions tonight so far for the Alouettes, 4 for 7. So they've been better than 50%. We'll see if they can continue that here. As this is going to be Alexander deep in the pocket. He's going to throw it to Scott. He's going to get tangled up and quickly covered, and that'll likely be a punt from the Alouettes here. I don't think it was much of a gain, if any, for Montreal, and that will be an opportunity now for Saskatchewan to continue to add to their lead that they've piled up here as this game's wore on. It was Montreal with the first major score of the game, but now so far It is now the Riders leading by 8 back-to-back major scores, as both rushing the ball in, and Johnson doing a good job covering up Scott there for the Riders, and he'll get the forced punt here out of the Montreal Alouettes, 3rd and 10. So the Alouettes, like I said, didn't gain a single yard. The punt all the way down to the Saskatchewan 10. Quickly out of bounds is the receiver. And that'll be a deep territory start here for Saskatchewan with 1:34 to go. Micah Johnson heading into the final 12 seasons in the CFL, 177 games, 71 sacks, 310 tackles, 5 CFL, all CFL selections, and 3 Grey Cup appearances. So this is number 4 here. So, yeah, this was so far so good for the Riders, who will take over possession again. Trevor Harris trying to run things by his crew one more time. See what they figure out here to try and get upfield in a hurry. It's at the Saskatchewan 23, 1st and 10, as the Riders will try and gain field here. As it'll be a handoff to Ouellette, who quickly, he just slipped through everybody, charged right upfield, got the first down just like that. And Ouellette, as Skills TV mentioned earlier, all gas, no brakes here in this game so far, as that was great. Great play by Ouellette to slip up the seam right up the middle, and it opened up like the Red Sea right there, and right up he goes. As here we go. The Riders are going to once again pass the ball. Harris is going to go to the outside, and that ball will be fumbled away by Ajou, as he just couldn't quite hold on to that, as he got double coverage and tackled up there. James going for the Riders as well, friends, as the Riders are trying to charge upfield quickly here. Very much so. A very entertaining game from both offenses so far, and it wasn't quite the cleanest snap for Trevor Harris. Maybe a reason why that ball wasn't as clean going over to Ajou as possible. 2nd down conversions tonight, 6 for 10 for the Riders. Harris will try and convert on 2nd and 10. Not such a great throw there from Harris, and a big hit there on the receiver Myers. He stopped short of the first down, so it'll be likely another punt here for the Riders, as the Owls defense, after giving up really not much on offense, end up coming up pretty clutch there, and that's pretty solid defense there from the Owls. They had 2 points of contact there, 2 men rushing to the receiver Myers, and just able to stop him dead in his tracks there, that's for sure. So the Riders will punt this ball away, and now with 53 seconds to go here, up 15-7. Well, possibility the Alouettes are able to tie up this ball game before the end of the first half, as the Riders taking every last second off the play clock they can, down to a second. They snap it here, the punt in the air. The Alouettes again will get premium possession, and that's a stumble out of the gates, as the Owls dropped the ball on the reception, as Thies just couldn't quite cleanly handle that, and instead he'll fall dead on top of the ball. Not very much to be gained there. Austin tuning in, hey, good day to you as well, as going for the Riders here. But Tyson Philpott, he is the weapon for the Owls. 9 catches, 238 yards, 2 TDs back on September 13th, but you know what, so far he's had a couple of big gains for the Riders, and we'll see if that's the case here with 30-40 seconds remaining in this second quarter, first half. Davis Alexander, 31 seconds to go from the Montreal 35-yard line. Alexander will decide to run it himself. How's that hamstring, bud? Looks pretty good to me, as he gets up the field in a hurry all the way to the 45 to gain a 1st and 10. And now Davis Alexander helping himself out here. See if he can figure this out, as that was a great little run from Alexander to get up to the 45. And now Alexander back in the pocket looking to pass this ball. He's going to take off and throw it upfield rather quickly inside the Saskatchewan side of center field. It's a 1st and 10 once again. Alexander quickly back to the huddle here, trying to get things going for what should be a quick pass, and then the Alouettes are going to try and kick the field goal, at least I'd assume bare minimum. 51-yard line for Saskatchewan. Davis downfield. He's got the reception. They're saying no to Sneed, but I think they might have just made that. I don't know, looked pretty clean to me. We'll see how it's ruled on the field. 2nd and 10, so it's incomplete. And we'll have a Hail Mary pass here to the end zone from the Saskatchewan 51st yard line, because the thing you have to note here is, oh, that did bounce on the way into Sneed. What you have to note is Saskatchewan will get the ball back in the start of the 3rd quarter no matter what. As this will be interesting to see if Saskatchewan draws up a play. If it's going to be a Hail Mary, can they find a way to get down the field in a hurry and get the job done? As we're going to see this get going here, as this is going to be Davis Alexander back in the pocket for the Hail Mary. He's running around. There's a flag on the play. Alexander chucks it downfield, deep into the pile. It's down. The Riders have the interception. Milligan's got the ball, but with the flag on the field, we'll see how it stands. And safe on here. I mean, dude, you never say a single positive thing, so just come on, man. That's all I'm going to say. And Montreal takes the flag, it looks like. Penalty is declined by Saskatchewan, and the ball will come for Saskatchewan. Choice of ball or direction to start the 2nd half. So that'll do it here for the Alouettes and Rough Riders in this first half of football. Friends, thank you so much for being aboard to begin things. I'm quickly going to go take a bathroom break and grab a couple of slices of za, watch the halftime show. I'll be back live with you here in a matter of moments. Stay tuned. All right, well, let's do this here, friends. We are about set for the Grey Cup halftime show. It's been a heck of a game so far. The Riders lead 15-7 at halftime. And, of course, a great effort there by AJ Ouellette, who has been absolutely lighting it up for the Riders, running everywhere, catching everything, and doing all the things that an elite CFL running back does. And, hats off to him for what has been a fantastic game so far. So for right now, we're just hoping that both teams get a good rest in the locker rooms and give us one heck of a show to end this football game, right? We only have 2 quarters left as we approach the 2-hour live mark here on the stream. For the Alouettes, the game changed on a dime. They had the Rough Riders stopped at the goal line. Ultimately ends up being perceived as a pass interference, and that costs the Riders a little bit there, as they end up having to give up, or cost the Owls end up having to give up a touchdown to the Riders. And ultimately now we wait to see how the Owls will respond in the third quarter. Again, I think there's something dating back the last several Grey Cups here where the team down in the fourth quarter to begin isn't necessarily out of it. So that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on there as well to see how this all shakes out. So Tyson Philpott has had himself probably the biggest game so far for the Montreal Alouettes. He was also the receiving target on the interception there on the game starting interception for the first drive for the Alouettes. So that is something to keep an eye on as how he and his game continues to respond as this game carries on. But I appreciate everybody hanging out here on the live stream so far. If you haven't already left a like here on Dollar TV for tonight's broadcast, would definitely appreciate that as we close in on some major stuff here towards the Machine Gun Kelly halftime show. And oh, by the way, as well as we get closer to the third quarter. So right now, the Alouettes kind of in respond mode. The Riders riding a wave of momentum in that second quarter. I mean, it was absolutely unreal to see what the Riders were doing as that second quarter kept going. They were getting great runs. They were getting great passes. They were getting good blocking. They were just kind of getting everything. And of course, Stevens as well punching that ball in, and a huge punch in as well on the first down conversion there just outside of the Alouettes goal line. It was just fantastic football out of the Riders in that second quarter, kind of after the Alouettes had the momentum for most of that first quarter. So now, is the third quarter going to go to the Alouettes, or will the third quarter go to the Riders? And then who ultimately comes up with the momentum that gets the job done in the fourth quarter? I mean, overtime football, sure, but I think this one's destined to be a great finish in 4 quarters. That's it, that's all. So we're looking forward to seeing how this one wraps up here tonight. Of course, it's been an interesting go thus far for both teams. The CFL delivering on the promise that is this Grey Cup every single year. So far, a thrilling matchup between both teams. Lots of fast-paced football and great effort from everybody involved. Like, so far, it's been just a heck of a football game, and we'll see if that continues its way through the third and fourth quarters here tonight on Dollar TV. Again, friends, if you are new to the channel, like I said earlier when I went upstairs, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button for more Oilers content. This isn't necessarily a CFL channel at all. Just ended up having the chance to live stream tonight's game and hang out and catch this up. So that's all good. But I would definitely love to have you aboard for the Oilers coverage, have you aboard for everything that we do here on Dollar TV. So yeah, we're getting closer to second half kickoff. Of course, the Riders will have the opportunity to defer or not defer, have side of field or take the kickoff. So we'll see how that goes here in this next quarter. I think the Riders obviously will take the ball, right? There's almost no ifs, ands, or buts about that as we're getting closer and closer to the halftime show. We're just on commercial break right now as we get closer and closer to deciding who's going to win the 112th Grey Cup live from Winnipeg. I've quite enjoyed myself, actually. This is a nice little opportunity to sit down, do some YouTube, and also talk sports and watch the Grey Cup at the same time. So we're going to get a little star of the show up here, I think. We'll get this little guy going. He hasn't made an appearance since probably the playoffs a few years ago, to be honest with you. So we'll get him up here hanging out. And that's now some time to make noise for the Bud Light Grey Cup halftime show as the Princess Auto Stadium there goes pretty much pitch black with just a few lights in the crowd to get things illuminated as Machine Gun Kelly, your halftime performer. I think, again, this one's pretty outstanding. Tyson Philpott's had some pretty big catches for the Montreal Alouettes. And then, of course, Davis Alexander, he's looked healthy enough out there. He's helped himself with some runs. And I think as well from the Rough Riders side, everything that you expected to look good has looked good so far. So nothing to really complain about coming out of that first half for either team. Again, for the Owls being down a score, not necessarily the worst case scenario in the world. Of course, I petted the cat, touched my nose, and now that's how that's going to go the rest of the way here. But yeah, no, it's going to be exciting. It looks like a nice little performance here out of Machine Gun Kelly for this halftime show here tonight. And we'll see how this all translates into another quarter of football upcoming. Friends, I appreciate you hanging out. Of course, right now might be a good time. If you want to tell me where in the world you're tuning in from, this is normally a game we play during, the Oilers playoff games or during World Juniors games, which are coming up as well. If you want live coverage of the World Juniors because you just can't access watching it on TV or find a link or whatever, Dolly TV here will also have World Juniors hockey coverage for you as the winter progresses into Christmas season. So definitely something to hit that subscribe button for as well. I guess I've been burying the lead a little bit, but yes, I guess to say really, hey, let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. We've had Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, all the way down to Rio de Janeiro tonight, so definitely would appreciate hearing from you. We've also had Barbados as well, so keep that in mind as we keep going along here. If you haven't already thought of hitting that comment section, and of course, if you haven't tonight, 739 votes in. The Riders expected by 69% of you, nice, to win the game. The Owls with a 31% vote so far. So keep me up to date. Keep voting in there. Keep letting me know how that's going for you. And let's see if there's anything we're missing in the world of sports as we check things out. As we've got an all-timer of a jersey matchup tonight at MSG as the Rangers and the Red Wings have their 100th year jerseys both on. And what a dandy those look like. As Machine Gun Kelly rocking the stage right now for the halftime show, but really nothing to report there, so let's not worry about it too much. Riders lead the Alouettes 15-8 at the half of the 112th Grey Cup. 15-7? 15-8. And you're telling me it should be 15-7, right? I think I'm mistaken here? No? Don't think I am. I think Dustin Nielsen screwed that up. Hold on here. Let me get down here. Yeah, 15-7. Okay, that's what I thought. It's 15-7 for the Riders over the Alouettes. As well, if you're looking for coverage of the Grey Cup here tonight, 630 or 880 Ched in Edmonton has coverage. You've got TSN 1050, TSN 1200, TSN 690. Sirius XM's got you covered across the world. You got Regina 620 CKRM. AM 1150 Kelowna and Newfoundland, or NL 610 AM Kamloops, CFAX Victoria, QR Calgary, and CJOB Winnipeg. That's who's got your coverage for tonight's Grey Cup on radio across the world and across Canada this evening. As we are getting closer and closer now to that third quarter. Machine Gun Kelly out there singing. I actually don't know that many Machine Gun Kelly songs, so we're not going to worry about that too much. He's got everybody bobbing along at the stadium. I don't know if it's necessarily the most hyped up Grey Cup performance you could possibly get, but it seems to be rocking along nonetheless, so we'll carry aboard. But right now, yeah, for the Grey Cup, it's a 15-7 score in what's been an absolutely phenomenal bowl game so far, and that's really all that matters. Is the CFL Grey Cup for another year in a row has delivered on the promise that is Grey Cup football, and it continues to carry on year after year, now in 112th year of the Grey Cup Championship here in Canada. And the CFL continues to deliver year in, year out, and we'll see how things shake out here when we get to the third and fourth quarters. Friends, I'm going to quickly take another opportunity. I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm going to take an opportunity to go upstairs, munch down another piece of pizza. I'll be right back. All right, well, let's do this again. Another piece of pizza in the tank, and we should be good to go for coverage of this second half, friends. Machine Gun Kelly looks like he's wrapping up here right away as we are getting closer and closer to this third quarter, kicking off here in a matter of moments for the Riders and those Alouettes, as we are up 15-7 are the Rough Riders right now. Friends, to those of you tuning in, D, welcome in from, Western Australia. That's insanity. It must be tomorrow already. Wait, I know that, but you know what I mean. And Jake tuning in, asking for the score. Simon from Essex, England tonight. And Paul tuning in from Yucatan in Mexico. So it's 15-7 for the Riders. They played a pretty solid second quarter. The Owls had a pretty solid first quarter. And, well, ultimately now, who is going to receive that kickoff? I think it's pretty sure to say that we'll see that the Rough Riders will try and carry on momentum, carry it forward to this next quarter of football by taking the ball to start and rock and roll. As see what happens. I mean, it's been a good ball game so far. There's nothing to say about that other than exactly that, as it's been absolutely the promise that the CFL delivers on year in, year out with the Grey Cup game. We're getting closer to things wrapping up here for the halftime show, and then we should be ready to rock and roll for this one. Well, as I keep saying, there's not much to say, really. We just got to get this going here. And I know that it's supposed to be a 31-minute show, and we should be wrapping up Machine Gun Kelly, I think, in the next 3 minutes, and then we'll be ready to go for this next quarter of football after a little bit of analysis. What a night it's been. I mean, I couldn't have told you when I woke up this morning that the thing I'd be doing to wrap up my Sunday evening and my weekend, just doing my thing, would be calling the Grey Cup here on YouTube. But it is what it is, and that's kind of where it is. And thanks, friends, for, letting it be something that it is. As it's been a blast, and I think we're up and done with the halftime show now, so we are ready to rock to the little bit of analysis we're going to get. We're going to get a Bud Light commercial first, though, and then we should be ready to go for, like I said, that little bit of analysis, and then all of a sudden we're off and running with the third quarter of football, as we had a little bit of a no-frills ad right now as well. So, we'll see what happens here as we carry forward. It is a 15-7 score. I'll drop that in the chat there for you. At halftime, it's 15-7 for the Riders at halftime. We'll see how it goes. As Harley, welcome aboard, and Joe's got money on the Riders. Well, I will tell you, I don't know nothing about betting, nor do I bet at all. So we'll just leave that one where it be. But I'm hoping best for you, I guess, to say, Joe, as we're getting just the last few ads of the day, and then we will rock and roll towards this third quarter. Like I said, I think it would be absolutely stupid of the Riders not to take possession of this first kickoff. That's for sure. But we'll see what they choose to do here. I'm just going to quickly grab myself an iced tea, I think. I think I've earned it. I think I've talked a mile a minute. I went for a walk today. Today's been a good day, okay? I think we're doing all right, and that's kind of where we're at. Bradley, welcome aboard. As we get everybody in here for this next quarter of football, the third quarter is going to be an absolute massive one, of course, for the Riders. If you can ride the momentum, score another 2 or 3 touchdowns, you can probably put the game out of reach. But the problem with the CFL, that fourth quarter comes around those final 5 minutes and nothing's ever out of reach. And our man from Edmonton Sports Talk, Dustin Nielsen, will be the first one to tell you that. So we'll see what happens here. So, okay. I get the being funny, but we're just going to again, this kid-friendly program that I try to run here. Okay, I think all of you that have been along for the ride here tonight understand that I keep it pretty friendly. I don't swear. I don't get too excited. So let's just keep a little civility there. And it's 15-7 at the half, 13-9 first downs for the Riders, 155 passing yards, 63 rushing yards. The total yards are about 75, 77 more than the Alouettes so far, as we get Luke Wilson on the board here and Zach Collaros out there as well on the panel alongside James Duthie, who just wait. We'll get lots of coverage from him as we get closer and closer to the World Juniors here in a matter of a few, well, weeks, really. The World Juniors are only a few weeks away. I think trying to coordinate an Oilers game before then is going to be a moot point, so we're going to go dive deep into World Juniors coverage come the month of December. Looking very forward to seeing if the Oilers can indeed add any young prospects in their system to the World Juniors roster. I think there's a couple of guys there that definitely would be of interest, like Tommy Lafreniere. But we'll see how that all translates out as the Oilers and, of course, the rest of the NHL teams look closer and closer to the month of December for a little bit of an extended break. It's been a busy calendar year so far for the NHL, and obviously the Oilers and the Canes and the Panthers are the ones who have played the most hockey over the past 4 or 5 years. And everybody in that group would love to have a break. The Oilers just barely outlasting the Canes last night. Again, a classic game for Zach Hyman to return to, but a game nonetheless that you win. So that's all good and dandy. And friends, that's where I'll leave you right now. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button here tonight, if you want to stay tuned with the Edmonton Oilers, I know a ton of you Riders fans, you don't cheer for those bad guys down in Calgary. You're a bunch of Oilers fans, so you might as well stick around the channel here. I am trying to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of this year's hockey season, whether that be, the hockey season comes to an end when the Oilers are eliminated in whatever day it is, or they win the Stanley Cup, however it pans out. But now sitting at 18,307. So thanks for hitting that subscribe button, friends. We started today 72 subscribers behind that, so it's been a good day here so far. So the providing commentary only. For those of you just tuning in, I guess we probably have a new batch of you tuning in right now, trying to figure out what's going to happen here on the broadcast. I can't provide any live video because of the copyright laws, and TSN and Sportsnet are not very kind when you take their intellectual properties. And as a guy who relies on those two to cover the Oilers and the World Juniors throughout the year, it's something I got to keep peace with. So it'll be my terrible, shoddy coverage of the CFL. Again, my knowledge and stuff maybe not the greatest, and at the same time, just knowing football isn't great at all. So we'll see how it shakes out here tonight, friends. But we're closing in on that third quarter at long last, as looks like we're loading up to get things rolling here as the panel is just getting things going, and they're clearing off the field little by little there from the machine gun Kelly from his performance. And it looks like we've almost got everything done. The trucks are driving off the field as we speak, so we should be getting closer and closer to this thing getting back underway for the third quarter of football, that's for sure. As you won't back up, buddy? Okay, come on. As we are getting things going. And of course, everybody's still primarily in the chat cheering for the Riders. Hey, I'm good with that. That's like I said, tonight I'm cheering for the Riders simply because all of my friends are Rough Riders fans. So just trying to, cheer alongside them tonight. And of course, as well, if you haven't already left a like on the stream, definitely would appreciate that as well here tonight. Closing in on 80. Good chance we can hit 100 before things get truly going tonight. And Colby, welcome aboard. Glad to see you in a CFL stream, but we are going for the Riders here. So Bradley also saying it's been 12 years since the Riders won the Cup. That is true as well, as we're looking forward to seeing them hopefully hoisting it at the end of the night. Hopefully I'm not cursing it by saying that. I don't really know truly how to put it in better terms, but we are getting closer and closer to that next kickoff here to begin the next quarter. My cat really doesn't want up. He just wants up to try and eat my pizza plate that's sitting off to the side of me here. So classic, that would be cats for you, right? That's the way that works. As I think right now, we're closing in on kickoff here as the teams are back out on the field warming up. They're making their way out of the tunnel here, and we should be set for football in a matter of a few more moments, friends, as we're getting almost set to do this job once again. As it has been a heck of a start to this Grey Cup. It's a 15-7 lead at halftime for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And it will definitely be a party in Regina, that's for sure, if they are able to take it. If the Roughriders take it, I think it would be a national holiday tomorrow in Regina, it feels like. So, and Han is saying he went to college with Trevor Harris. Well, that's fair to say. There you go. So rooting for Saskatchewan, that makes sense right there. As again, I feel like a lot of you are probably tuning in for the Riders just simply because whoever would be tuning in for the Alouettes, and this just right just an idea of how Canada works. I feel like there probably is at least a French language broadcast here on YouTube of somebody doing the exact same thing as me. So I feel like at least for those folks that want to hear coverage in French, they at least have an option, and that's probably why we're not seeing as much support for the Alouettes here tonight as the Riders. Again, you know what? Maybe the Owls fans are just taking it seriously, hunkered down at home watching on TV as well. So I couldn't say 820 votes in. It's a 30-70 split in favor of the Riders right now for who's going to take the game here on the Dollar TV poll. So live from Princess Auto Stadium, we are ready to rock and roll this next bit of football action as everybody's ready to take the field and get things going here for the next little bit. Machine Gun Kelly is done playing, so we are going to get up to the next little bit of what this game will hold. The third quarter coming up for us. See what happens here as both teams ready to take the field and get the job going once more. Davis Alexander has had a solid first quarter. Trevor Harris getting up and throwing and getting ready to rock and roll what should be of an exciting finish to this ball game. And we'll see what happens here. As we got Trevor Harris coming off the field here as he will keep warming up, throwing along the sidelines. Saskatchewan set to receive the kickoff here, as I don't think wind is really a factor. So, yeah, we'll see how this happens, as this will be a kickoff from the Alouettes. And friends, let's do this. It's a 15-7 lead for the Montreal... No, just kidding. It's a 15-7 lead for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as the Alouettes. That's where I was going there. Boot it down into the far corner here of the field, and coming running are the Riders as they come gunning up the field in a hurry to the 50, to the 55, to the 50 on the Alouettes side of half. And the Riders, one heck of a return right there to begin this third quarter. That, my friends, is how you start the ball game in a hurry. Machine Gun Kelly, who we're back to action here, is what an effort there by the receiving side. The Riders special teams, just an incredible run from the 20 all the way, well, basically the 25 all the way up to the 50 on the side of the Owls thing. Oh my goodness, what a way to go. And Fredix, yes, I am an Oilers fan. That would be what all the Oilers jerseys behind you are doing here tonight. This is an Edmonton Oilers channel, friends, if you're tuning in for the first time. Here we go. Let's get things going. Trevor Harris with the ball. He'll hand it off to AJ Ouellette, who will get swallowed up, but make no mistake, he's still going and going all the way down to the 42 inside Alouettes territory. 14:26 to go here in this third period. I'm going to make that mistake. Third quarter. The Riders leading 15-7, and it doesn't look like they're going to be content until they're at least up to 21 or 22 on the board here, as Ouellette just drove through all of the Alouettes defense and was able to get up and going there. So what an effort there from the running back for the Riders. And we will see what happens here as he keeps rolling. 11 touches, 91 yards, touchdown so far for Ouellette. And here we go. There'll be an opportunity now for Harris to pass the ball again. First down gained and a couple more yards as the man falls backwards across the line. And there you have it. It is good to get going. So we got to see how this keeps going as Trevor Harris has had a good night in the air. Obviously, you know, it's Davis Alexander with the costly interception to start the ball game that kind of set us on the path we're on right now. And now you just got to see what happens here as both Ouellette and Harris are humming along here to start tonight's action. And we'll see if this third quarter continues what that second quarter did. So far it has. At the Montreal 35, Harris is 14 for 17, $163 passing. Harris once again lines up to pass this ball. He'll fire deep into coverage, and he's got the man shy of the line. It's a 1 yard stop. The Alouettes get the tackle just in time. And I don't know if Trevor Harris just hit the horns down celebration or what there, but wild, okay. Don't think I've ever seen a grown man hit that, but what a pass there from Harris, and just shy of a touchdown there for the Rough Riders. It was a good effort, but it is what it is. And we'll see what happens here. Red zone TDs, 2 for 2 tonight for Trevor Harris, who's, like I said, looking for his first ever Grey Cup. We'll see how this pans out right now as Trevor Harris a yard off the line. Oh, it's Stevens in there again. He's going to punch it in for the second time tonight. And they're looking to see. And the Riders are celebrating. It's 21-7. Friends, the Riders do exactly what you expected them to coming out of that halftime. Third quarter start is a success. Stevens, what an absolute beauty right there as he gets going just to the outside, punches through emphatically and gets in for the touchdown with still 12-12 to go in the third quarter of action. 4 plays, 48 yards, 2 minutes and 48 seconds of clock. And the Riders, just like that, if this kick is good, will be up by 15. We'll see as the kick goes. And it is indeed good. So the Riders lead 22-7. I'll put that in the chat for you right now. That's 21 unanswered points for the Riders. 3 straight touchdowns since giving up the lead to the Alouettes. You know what? The Riders started the game by, going out there and punching in a little bit of a safety, not a rouge. I think it's the safety. And then, end of the day is the Alouettes answered back. And from there on out, it was done and dusted. But friends, if you are new to the channel, and like I was talking about the Oilers a second ago, want to stay tuned for Oilers coverage, World Junior Hockey coverage. That's coming this December. Definitely consider hitting that subscribe button here on Dolany TV. Would love to have you aboard for the ride. It's been one heck of a ride so far this year, but it's 22-7 now for the Riders as we get closer and closer to deciding who will win the 112th Grey Cup live from Winnipeg, Manitoba tonight, Princess Auto Stadium, as both teams putting in a heck of an effort. And it is Stevens, who is just Tommy Stevens in again. 2 touchdowns so far. Every single touchdown in this ball game has been a rushing touchdown. I don't know if anybody had that on their pocket, but that is where you're at as we enter the next possession for the Montreal Alouettes. We'll see if the kickoff return is just as explosive as it is for the Riders to start this third quarter. You got to remember how important that kickoff return was to getting that drive going ultimately, and that's the big part about it, is it was an incredible go. So we're going to see the World Juniors. Yeah, the World Juniors are coming back, and TSN's already advertising them here a month out, that's for sure, as we are closing in on Boxing Day. World Juniors 2026. It's going to be a blast, that's for sure. I can't wait to sit in this chair for an entire week and talk hockey with you, but what an explosive play here by Trevor Harris to get that ball through the middle. Just opened up the coverage of the Alouettes right down in front of the goalpost and ends up yards short of the touchdown, and Tommy Stevens comes in and punches home another touchdown for these Alouettes. Friends, if you haven't left a like on the stream yet already, make sure to do that here as we're closing in on 100 likes now. And we want to see this one wrap up beautifully. As like I said, I am cheering for the Rough Riders, unfortunately, if you're an Owls fan. As the Rough Riders swallow up that return rather good. The ball got down, not great like for the Rough Riders, but Davis Alexander now looking to respond. He's got that deep ball threat to him, so I mean, it might not be the worst case scenario if he has to throw it deep here and try and find Philpott or somebody else. But Scott's been pretty good at catching the ball tonight too, and we'll see if it is indeed the case that they go for the big throwdown field on this drive. It'll be interesting to note. So here we go. At their own 36-yard line, it's going to be Montreal rushing up the middle. Scott up good for 5 or 6 yards there to get the Alouettes back up the field a little bit more. Davis Alexander will once again take the snap. 11:32 to go on the third quarter. 2nd and 4. 22-7. 22-7. There's still yet to be a sack this game. 22-7 for the Riders. As you see, this has been a heck of a game so far. The Riders are starting to run away with it, but it's the CFL, and you just can never be quite sure as this one's going to be snapped back to Alexander now. He's deep in the pocket all the way back to the 25-yard line. Throws a dart, but swallowed up there, and I think we're going to have a little bit of a break up there by the referee, and it'll be a 3rd and 4th with Montreal's 42nd yard line. So I don't know. Are we going to see Montreal do anything here? I don't know about that. As that was a quick, good defense once again by Saskatchewan on even the kick return on the first two plays. And now Alexander and Montreal forced once again to punt it. And Montreal, I'm sure, getting a little bit frustrated with how their offense threw. Now, what, 31 minutes or 34 minutes kind of sputtering out there. As this kick bounces and the Riders will jump on it right there, get it up to the 35, 34 yard line, somewhere around there. And now the Riders again, good field position, a chance to keep attacking. And we'll see if that is the case as this carries on here. As this is starting to look exactly how a lot of us would have hoped. Friends, if you are new to the channel, again, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button. I know this is kind of self-serving, but it's kind of what it is, right? It's just, I didn't expect to do this, and I didn't expect to have this many show up, so I do appreciate that. So we're now up over, numbers loading, 18,311 subscribers, so less than 1,700 to close in. Give me just a brief moment. I'm just going to run upstairs quick again. All right, let's do this. Sorry, friends, just a quick time out there as I run upstairs and take care of business as we are waiting for this game to get back from commercial break still. So kind of just is what it is. But we need a big defensive stop here for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Saskatchewan defeats Ottawa in 1966, 1989 defeating Hamilton 43-40, and then as well 2007 defeating Winnipeg 23-19. So guaranteed Saskatchewan's going to be kind of close to that. And then 2013 defeating Hamilton 45-23. So we'll see if they can add a new chapter to that here tonight against the Montreal Alouettes. Ball at the Saskatchewan 35. Trevor Harris takes the snap. He'll pivot around. He'll look for the deep ball here, and he will have it all the way down to the Montreal 52. Myers with the big reception there for Saskatchewan. And just like that, Saskatchewan back in business. Ball after ball after ball, and they are doing their job here in and out tonight as we'll get things going. As that is Harris firing that ball to the far side. Now we'll see what happens here as both teams, desperately trying to seize the momentum, and right now the Rough Riders have it. They just need to keep it, and they need to keep it rolling. 6:44 on a night in which Saskatchewan's about ready to party here as Ouellette gets going up for an 8-yard gain. And as time continues to wind down in this ball game, 9:44, you almost feel as if a score here from Saskatchewan and some solid defensive possessions, it would be enough to keep Montreal from winning this ball game. I know the game's only half over, but the way Saskatchewan has come to life, kind of late first quarter, early second quarter, it's really starting to take this turn. So here we go. The Riders, the Alouettes in the Grey Cup. As Gio's all confused. Gio, I'm going to have stories to tell you about this live stream tomorrow as Trevor Harris hands off to Ouellette again. He gets swallowed up by the Montreal defense. About 4 of them fall right on top of him. And we will have a stop about a yard or 2 shy of the first down here on second down. So now, we're inside the last 9 minutes. It's 3rd and 2. So 3rd and 2 for the Riders at the Montreal 44. We'll see how this shakes out here as keep going 3rd and 2nd. That's really what you need to know. 3rd and 2, sorry. I don't know why I keep doing that. AJ Ouellette out there are they going to punt? Yeah, they're going to punt. That's not a bad area to punt from. They're going to hem Montreal in deep. If they can nail it down for another 1-pointer, that would be absolutely massive. That is what kickstarted this game for Saskatchewan, kickstarted the game overall. Now we'll see if that's going to kickstart us right here for another point, and then a 16-point lead for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's 22-7 for the Riders over top of the Alouettes. We have a flag. There's some early motion or something. We have not had a lot of flags here tonight at all. But 22-7, 8:11 to go in this third quarter of football between the Alouettes and Riders. And it's looking good so far. So we'll see what happens here as the Alouettes, the Riders, talking this over. The CFL line judge is trying to figure this one out. And what are we going to do here? Philpott's talking things over. So it's a procedural against Saskatchewan. And it will be a third down and probably long, which really costs Saskatchewan because they had the opportunity to, hem down. Oh. So they end up drawing it 3rd and 7. Montreal 49. I mean, a good punt here and a bounce could still hammer them down, but I wonder how this plays out. So see how this goes. Is for the punt from about the 50-yard line is going to line up all the way to the Montreal 5-yard line and out of bounds at about the 16-yard line. Friends, all of you that just tuned in, thanks for hopping aboard here. As that was complicated to try and figure out, that's for sure. So I don't know. Is that's it's kind of where we're at. Yes, this is 3-down football here in the CFL. So it is rocking and quick and quickly. Saskatchewan done and dusted that possession, and Montreal now got to respond. Sorry, I figured I should probably go fill the water bottle while we got another opportunity to do as such. We are now going to change hands to Montreal once more, 22-7. The score for the Riders as it currently stands. Things are looking all right so far for both teams in this quarter of football. I mean, Montreal would love to score a touchdown. I can guarantee that's exactly what they're saying on those sidelines right now, but for Saskatchewan, if they can keep hammering down and scoring points, it is going to be very, very good for the Riders. So that's kind of where they're looking right now. As friends, we're closing in on, obviously, the midway section of this third quarter. Tyson Philpott, in his career, 42 catches in the CFL playoffs. The guy knows when to show up. And he has done a job of it thus far in his career, that's for sure. So we'll see how this shakes out, as the Alouettes will hopefully look to get him going, as it'll be a possession just shy of somewhere around there. But Philpott is going to get things going to the outside, and he's going to look to be the deep target for Davis Alexander, live from the Montreal 15-yard line. 1st and 10, Philpott's got 48 yards so far. The fake handoff, and here's Alexander looking to get out of trouble with a deep throw, and he's got it to Rambo. And Rambo's going to shake off coverage a few times and get almost to the Montreal 40. What a play right there. Is Philpott not the target at all, but Rambo comes up with just as good of an effort to help out his ball team right here, as that was a great throw by Davis Alexander. He had time, no pressure, made the easy, calm play, and then Rambo jumps up, grabs it, and then shakes off one defender, shakes off a second guy twice, ultimately hauled down by that second guy, but was able to do it well enough. So here we go. The snap, 220, 221 over to Davis Alexander, it looks like, or did I read that wrong? As Alexander will be back to pass again. He's going to go way deep, and he doesn't get it down to Sneed, unfortunately. That was probably the hardest, deepest thrown ball of the ball game so far, and Sneed just can't, through the double coverage there, get that one onto his hands and down for a touchdown. 2nd and 10, but I mean, Davis Alexander basically chucked that all the way down to the Saskatchewan 10. Pretty sure as that one was way deep. Saskatchewan 20. Close enough. As that was where we're at. As that goes off the hands of the Saskatchewan defender. Milligan was in there, but it was somebody else who got the hands on it for Saskatchewan. 2nd down conversions for Montreal so far tonight have not been good. 4 for 10. See if they can operate. They're operating lower than their season average here. Alexander steps up. He's going to backpedal a little bit out to the outside on the roll and intercepted by Saskatchewan. I mean, you were going to end up punting anyway, so you might as well just throw it away if you're Davis Alexander. So there you have it. A tough go. 2 interceptions for him. 6:31 to go in this third quarter, and Alexander tosses that ball away. And now Saskatchewan will take over with some good field coverage, that's for sure. Campbell, good little play right there, and we'll see what happens as the Saskatchewan Roughriders coming up with ball on both sides, scoring touchdowns, grabbing interceptions, defending as best they can. And you see Alexander rolling out to the right and just kind of threw that one right into 2 waiting arms. Yeah. Just a tough go. Campbell comes down, +8 turnover ratio, 9-1 when winning the turnover battle. And immediately here's Amelia stopping up across the first down marker. And, by the way, scoring a few extra yards after the fact. So you like to see that. Now what happens is the question. Can Saskatchewan, like I was saying, take care of it here and take care of them and get going down the field for another touchdown? Man, I'm locked into this. I have not been locked into a Grey Cup game in a long while, but hence you guys talking about the Elks and Eskimos in the chat right now. As this will be snapped back to Harris. He'll throw the ball again. Caught, and terrible throw by Harris. Just kind of short-changed Amelius on the catch. And now it'll be an opportunity for the Riders to punt this one away. It's the Montreal 39. I guess that's field goal range. Sorry, that's 2nd and 10. What am I talking about? As Amelius 100-yard games, 3 of them this season, so good for him. As we 2nd and 10. I don't know, brain fart there. Montreal 39. So as long as Saskatchewan does something here of any substance, they should be able to at least get 3 points, if not more. The lineup here at the line of scrimmage, and they are going to send a whole bunch of receivers into motion. And I think they failed. They broke the line a little bit early. As that is a flag on Saskatchewan. I almost guarantee that. Yeah. Illegal procedure. 5 yards. 2nd down still. Tough go there for Saskatchewan. Things just seem to move. As we'll see what happens here for Saskatchewan now. They're really going to have to come up with an effort to try and turn the tide here on this possession. We'll see what happens. 2nd and 16 from the Montreal 45. Saskatchewan nearly had yards and desperately needs them now. I guess they get 4 there out of Amelius from the pass from Harris. And with 4:40 to go here in this third quarter of play, it's 22-7. And Montreal will force a field goal kick from their own 40 here by Saskatchewan. Unless, I don't know what's, I think players are changing out. So, we'll see how this plays out. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough field goal. Made 39 and attempted 54 for Brett Lawther. And he's going to go from the 48-yard line here. We've seen crazier in the CFL and NFL over the years, but 48 yards with this much pressure on. He's going to nail it by a foot. That is good to go. So, wow. That was tight as it could be, but they got the job done here. We've got 3:59 to go in this third quarter out of 15 minutes to start. So now only less than 19 minutes remain in a 25-7 Rough Riders lead here in this game. Friends, thanks for being aboard so far. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button here tonight. Definitely, as the chat talks about the Oilers, talks about everything Edmonton, this is what this channel is about. It's all Oilers all the time, usually, unless I somehow find some free time like tonight to make it about something else. Blue Jays are definitely going to be a little bit heavier of a mix in next season for them, as we'll try and get some coverage of the Oilers going as well at the same time. So, yeah. I mean, hey, you know what? Right now, as it currently stands, the Oilers are doing good enough, and the Riders are doing even better. And that's kind of where we find ourselves in what is now a 25-7 lead for the Riders over top of the Alouettes, who are just struggling to put together the offense here tonight. And we'll see if the Oilers can take advantage of that as this continues on. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. As we are just on commercial break right now. Hopefully see it get going as the final draw for the FIFA World Cup is Friday, December 5th at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. There you go. FIFA World Cup coming to Canada, USA, and Mexico this summer. That's going to be a hyped up situation, that's for sure. As Darian Durant, 17 for 24, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns in the 2013 Grey Cup against Hamilton. Giroy Simon out there, man. Some of the old names that, again, these were guys that I loved back in the day, and I spent a lot of time in the summers watching the Grey Cup, and it was a big part of my life growing up there in northern Alberta. So excited to watch Trevor Harris spin around to see most of that over the course of his career. And he's trying to add to his legacy one last time. So it's Davis Alexander. We'll try and get things going. As we'll see what happens here as Alexander gets going to the outside. Scott loading up. He's got it. He's got the first down for Montreal. And that will be an opportunity to keep chewing up yards upfield here. 3:36 to go in this third period of play. As that was great from Scott, rolling out to the outside and down on the field. And what a play right there. So let's see. Let's see what happens. As this will be an opportunity for Davis Alexander. Again, he fakes the run. It's tipped there by Saskatchewan, and then Alexander's taken out. And Brooks Jr. kind of doesn't end up getting the sack, but he gets the next best thing. And actually, Bradley, it is 25-7. So that's where it is. That was a great deflection there by Saskatchewan to get in front of that throw by Davis Alexander. A big leap there. And then, you know what? He was only a few yards behind that ball. Maybe almost a chance to intercept it as well. Davis Alexander guilty of the interceptions several times so far tonight. Here we go. 2nd and 10 from the Montreal 51. Davis Alexander over the top. He connects. And he's got a first down inside Saskatchewan territory. Oh boy, don't tell me this game's going to start getting interesting right here, right now. 2:40 to go here in this third quarter. Time winding down on the Montreal Alouettes, who have just 17 and a half minutes left to make this game happen. Sneed came up with the effort there from him as he turned around and got this going. As he just turned, button hooked, and caught that ball. Came down with it. He's a smaller guy, but able to come up with a catch nonetheless. And here we go. Davis Alexander will pick that one up for the handoff, and that will be led ahead by Montreal, who's still going. 3 Riders players have to take down the running back. And that will be a stop with about 4 or 5 yards gained here for the Alouettes. 8-time Grey Cup champions. 5 yards to go on this second down. We'll see how this goes. One last 3 Grey Cup appearances. We'll see here how this goes. Davis Alexander getting set to line things up. Alexander fires to the outside. Caught there by Philpott. He's going to go for a run. Down the yard, still going. And he comes up. There you go. That's what the Alouettes needed. They needed a big gain from Philpott. They just got it. And I see the Riders have kind of connected up here a few more votes on the poll. 71% for the Riders, 29% for the Owls now. So we continue to march downfield in this game. And both teams, neither team's really gave in or quit so far in this game. We'll see if the Riders can continue to stand tall on defense. Montreal now inside their own 19. Not of Saskatchewan's, I should say. Scott across the line of scrimmage. That's about it. 1 yard gain there. And I mean, you know what? You're going into the final minute of the third quarter here. You're down by 18 if you're Montreal. Chipping away and getting a field goal might not be the worst case scenario if you're Montreal. That's for sure. As that was a good little run there from Scott, but he just couldn't get around quick enough. As we'll see how it goes. As Tony lining us up here is Jameer Thurman, 7 tackles in the Western Finals, 2nd and 9 for Montreal at the Saskatchewan 8. See what happens here. This one will go back for the drop from Alexander. He's going to chuck it deep end zone. Nobody's home. Brutal. But there is a flag on the play with 10 seconds to go here in this third quarter. What is the flag? We're starting to see the flags come out a little bit more, little by little. And referee can't get his mic to work. It's a defensive penalty against the Riders. That ought to hurt you. Pass interference is the call. The Alouettes were guilty of it at one point, and now all of a sudden the Riders will be guilty of it as well. On Sneed, it looks like here is, the Riders clutched and grabbed a little bit, unfortunately, and that will cost them a little bit of field. And this is now a 1st and goal for Montreal with 10 seconds to go in the third quarter. The big thing is Montreal, they keep possession no matter what at the change of the quarter. But that's a tough go here if you're Saskatchewan, who is like just really controlling the play so far. Tough roll of the dice there. Sneed, of course, like I said, he's a much smaller player than most of the guys on the field, so he's bound to draw calls like that from time to time. And that one really hurts if you are Saskatchewan trying to keep a stranglehold on this game. You're up 25-7 right now, and the more you control the rest of this game, the better off for you. So there you go. Penalty against the Riders will end up being a 1st and 10. It'll be a 1st and 10 because the ball is spotted at the 11. Montreal from the Saskatchewan 11. Davis Alexander faking motion, trying to figure out his crew, and now here they go. They've got the opportunity. They're going to hand off to Scott. Scott will indeed punch that in. He was twirling in there, but it's a Montreal Alouettes touchdown, and suddenly, friends, we've got a ball game. It's 25-13 at the end of the third quarter with a kick for a point after still yet to come here as Montreal comes up with a clutch penalty just like Saskatchewan had earlier in the game against the defense. And there it is. That is how he goes. Alexander, a perfect little handoff. The hesitation allows Scott to slip through the seam, and he gets going right up the middle to score that touchdown for the Alouettes. It's 25-13, about to be 25-14. So it's been lined up here. And Maltos Diaz lines up for the kick. He will nail it. Saskatchewan came very close to trying to block that one. Nonetheless, it's 25-14. And all of a sudden, just like that, it's a 2-possession ball game between the Riders and the Alouettes. A very unfortunate penalty there for the Riders and just a tough go. But we'll see how this keeps going, friends, as the Riders continue to be up at the end of 3 quarters. And Montreal, just the quick response here. And now Saskatchewan, for another quarter in a row, gets the ball to start the quarter. And we'll see how that pays dividends for them as friends. Again, what I'll tell you, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button here on Dolany TV. Would love to have you aboard as a regular viewer. Watching the Edmonton Oilers content would be fantastic. You see behind me all the Oilers stuff. I mean, there's plenty of Oilers gear in the show here. I'm just going to move this over. You see that James Hamblin Condors jersey. There's even a little bit of farm team coverage here on the channel from time to time. So stay tuned. There will be plenty of World Juniors coverage as well. Would love to have you aboard for the World Juniors, and I thank everybody that's already hit that subscribe button tonight for doing as such. So, yeah, we are rolling here as Primo sitting there saying, yeah, what we're saying there is the CFL will be moving to a 100-yard by 65-yard field with 15-yard end zones here in the next few years. Rule changes are coming in. Differences are being made in the Canadian game. And we'll see how that affects, obviously, viewership and entertainment value and safety as well. Those goalposts is a big reason because of safety. And that's something that, I mean, everybody has been yelling at for years for the CFL. So, friends, give me a quick second. I'm going to go take a quick timeout upstairs, and I'll be right back once again. The fourth quarter of the 112th Grey Cup, just like that, coming right up. Took too long. Saskatchewan kicking the ball, Montreal kicking the ball to kick off the fourth quarter. Saskatchewan with a decent enough return that'll line them up to get going here in this fourth quarter. It all comes down to this now as, Trevor Harris comes out to get things going. There's a flag on the kickoff, though, so stay tuned to see what that means for this ball game as the CFL officials talking things over. Corey May's trying to get things going, so. All right, let's see what happens here, as this will be unnecessary roughness against the defense or against the receiving team, as I think it's unnecessary roughness against the receiving team, Saskatchewan, so that's going to knock them back 10 yards right there. That's unfortunate. Saskatchewan, they erase the return from the 22, 1st and 10 for Trevor Harris, who's now, just less than a quarter of a game away from winning a Grey Cup, but there's still plenty of work to be done yet. Ouellette gets swallowed up behind the line of scrimmage, and I will tell you, Montreal is starting to push back something fierce here in this ball game. 14:30 to go in the fourth quarter, 2nd and 11 now against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Riders looking like they were dominating that third quarter, all of a sudden giving up the touchdown to end the quarter. And now we'll see how this goes. Noel Thorpe, the defensive coordinator, as we'll see how this goes, as we'll have the Riders facing a 2nd and 11 from their own 21-yard line. Trevor Harris guns up to get going downfield again. He's going to throw a big dart right up the middle, and that ball comes out. It'll be a 3rd down and 11 for the Riders, and all of a sudden the Alouettes defense coming up huge here in this fourth quarter, just a minute and 4 seconds in. they have forced the Riders likely to punt this ball, and that's a tough go if you're asking me. As that was Harris throwing downfield and just into the double coverage again. As this will be an opportunity here for Montreal Alouettes to get some really dang good field position, that is for sure. So here we go. The punt from the Riders' own 10-yard line. It's going to go back all the way to about the 40 for the Alouettes. They will rush up to the 50 at least, to the 52. Yes, the 52 for Montreal with 13:30 to go in this fourth quarter. Just like that, friends, it's 7 o'clock already tonight. Geez, we started this live stream just before, or just after 4 o'clock. Crazy to think. We've been going for 3 hours here on the channel. Appreciate you hanging out so far this evening, and I hope the broadcast has been good enough. The score, as that is a good question, the score is 25-14 for Saskatchewan, 13:30 to go here in this, in this fourth quarter. Ball game's coming to an end here. Alexander, the handoff to Scott. He pushes forward, reaches out, gets maybe the extra yard. We now have 13:12 to go in this fourth quarter. Time continues to wind down. It's only a 2-possession game. So Montreal, as long as they keep marching the ball forward here, have plenty of time, plenty of room to work with to get back in this game. Saskatchewan seemed like they were dominating it, but that's the CFL. You got to score and keep scoring. As, you just got to keep it going. Here we go. Opportunity now for Davis Alexander to probably chuck this ball downfield, as he's going to line up with no backs in the field. He'll throw to the near side of the field. He's got the first down to Philpott. Maybe not. Philpott kind of got rocked a little bit there, and Saskatchewan's defender is mad or upset. I don't know. He's definitely excited, as that was a good opportunity to throw the ball, and Philpott just couldn't spin off coverage at all. So just kind of is where we are at, as Philpott, he just couldn't dance coverage at all there. Kat, what do you want? Do you want to come up or what? You're being a pest today. Yeah, you know. I'm ignoring you to live stream a football game. How mean am I? There we go. So here we go. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan 47. Philpott 75 yards, 4 catches. The ball rolls to the outside here for Thies. He'll roll up. He keeps going. He's going to battle. And that will be an opportunity now for Montreal once again to gain yardage. They've chewed up another minute and 15 seconds off the clock here. 11:44 to go in this fourth quarter. Scott does a little bit of blocking here for Thies as he fakes the handoff and then ends up going to block to the outside, and that allows Thies to catch the ball and go downfield a little bit. This is the 2nd and 1 from the Saskatchewan 38. Jason Moss seeing what he can conjure up here on short distance for Davis Alexander, who would probably not be too scared to go deep, but instead it's the backup quarterback in there sneaking up the line to get the first down for Montreal. Saskatchewan saying, I don't think he has it. But I think everybody's in agreement. It is a first down for Montreal. 10:58 to go in this fourth quarter. Time continues to wind down. Montreal continues to pound up the field. Patterson gets the first down. Shea Patterson, 6 rushing touchdowns this season as a quarterback for the Montreal Alouettes. 25-14 the score between the Riders and Alouettes. Riders lead 25-14, I should say. We'll see how this all goes right here. Is this going to be an opportunity now for Davis Alexander to hand the ball off to Scott? He's going to get swallowed up in the backfield by the Riders defense. Carney comes up with the tackle, and that will be a loss of yards here. So that is an opportunity for the Saskatchewan defense here. They got a 2nd and 11 against Montreal. You get a good stop here, and all of a sudden you're talking about Montreal. Yeah, they're at your 38. They're probably kicking a field goal. Then you have a chance to make it still a 2-score possession. However, Philpott busts on in on the catch and gets down past the 25-yard line. And oh boy, now it just all got super interesting here, didn't it, for Montreal and Saskatchewan. As yeah, this is going to be very interesting now to see how this shakes out as Philpott catches it near the line of scrimmage and then just goes for a little bit of a run. And from the Saskatchewan 26 now, Montreal a chance to look to try and punch this to a one-score game. Davis Alexander scrambles. He's going to be sacked, but he gets the ball away in time. And that's 9:10 to go here in this fourth quarter. 25-14. Montreal pushing 2nd and 10. That is huge. So we'll see how this goes. Saskatchewan 26, 2nd and 10. Oh boy. How is this going to shake out? Oh boy, I'm getting nervous. I haven't been nervous all ball game, you know, and I said I was cheering for the Riders, and now all of a sudden a little bit of adversity here, and I'm a little starting to shake in my boots. So kind of just the way she goes. Is Jason Moss still trying to push it down to the end zone here as he's going to get going here. He's talking things over with the officials. Davis Alexander. As halftime was favorable for the Riders, they came out and punched up the score right quick. But now all of a sudden, yeah, that's the thing. If you're a fan of close games, it's getting to that territory. But now Saskatchewan and Montreal kind of talking things over here on the sideline. I don't know if there's an injured player on the field or what. Davis Alexander trying to talk things over with his crew as the referee comes out to talk something over. As they call it roughing the passer? Really? They call that roughing the passer? I mean, sure, I don't know if rules of football enough, but apparently it's roughing the passer after he had gotten the ball out. And, I mean, I think that's just what you would call a sack, but and that's a tough go if you're Saskatchewan. Again, a couple of costly penalties, and yeah, that look says it all. So now Montreal within scoring territory, 11 yards to go. This will be an opportunity here for Scott to line it up a few more yards up the play. It'll be inside the 10 for Montreal now with, well, you know what, it is truly now a one-score game for Montreal no matter what, unless they somehow botch the field goal that close to things. But yeah, that's tough, as this was a tough penalty to take if you're Saskatchewan. So Montreal lining up here one more time as Davis Alexander quickly pivots, rolls to the right. He'll throw off of a lineman, and then another lineman comes down with the ball, and he'll rumble back towards the 15, and there's a flag on the play, and now all of a sudden chaos, the CFL chaos that always reigns in the fourth quarter of the Grey Cup is happening right now. And friends, I just saw one of the players has Shanks as a name, just a reminder here. Still wearing it close to the vest here tonight. As what a weird play, as this was a throw. Alexander threw it off the helmet of one guy, lands in the arms of another fielder. And it's going to be third down for the Alouettes, I guess. I guess so. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. Is Jose Maltos Diaz will come out to try and kick this game into a 25-17 score. Very interesting that this has happened the way it has, as it's going to be Maltos Diaz right through the middle of the uprights. He's good for 3. It's 25-17. It's a one-score game now between the Alouettes and the Rough Riders. The Riders will have 8.5 minutes to go here in this fourth quarter. What a night it's been. Stevie Scott ends the third quarter with a touchdown scamper. And what else do we got? 1 year. Oh, that's just Oilers Nation. Yeah, is there anything else to really be said here tonight? I guess Kirill Kaprizov scored the overtime winner for Minnesota tonight. And yeah, let's see. let's see where it is. The Riders defense picks off Davis Alexander. We've already seen that. I don't think there is anything else we need to see. So I guess in the MLB, what we need to know is first baseman Josh Naylor and the Seattle Mariners are finalizing a 5-year deal. First major free agent to sign this offseason goes back to Seattle. So, yeah, we're hoping that this game ends hot, and I think we are starting to see this end of the third quarter leading into this fourth quarter. It is going hot. Friends, if you are new to Dolany TV, this is an Oilers channel, as I'm sure you're well aware. If you could consider hitting that subscribe button here on the channel, would absolutely appreciate that. But yeah, it's been a fantastic night of sports so far, and now we just need the Riders to clutch up and get this job done here. So that's really all it comes down to for tonight's action is the final draw of the FIFA World Cup. Again, reminder, December 5th at noon Eastern time, if that tickles your fancy that night or morning or whatever, as we are closing in on getting this going. As friends, unfortunately, I cannot show the game due to copyright restrictions, but I would love to if I could, but it's not the case, as we're getting closer and closer to deciding the Grey Cup champion tonight. And we'll see if the Riders can hang on. They're starting to stumble here a little bit as their defense taking some bad penalties, and obviously the offense sputtering a little bit as it goes on. So we'll see what happens on this drive for the Riders. AJ Ouellette, who's been an absolute animal for them tonight with 7:48 to go here in this fourth quarter, will line up in the backfield. Trevor Harris hands off. Nope, fakes it off. He will gun up downfield for the pass. And is that man in field? I don't know. Emilius might have just gained the Riders a ton of yards. What a shot downfield that was. And this might be the play that puts the Riders back in action, as Emilius has gotten them down to the 39-yard line, both feet inbounds. Oh, yes. Yeah, there it is, as this one's going to keep coming for the Riders on the next snap. They get pushing it down to about the 35-yard line, and Emilius with an absolutely huge gain of yardage there for the Riders. And now, well, at least they were able to keep it from here on out being don't turn over the ball, obviously, but from being a one-score game once again, as they are in field goal range, and as long as they can nail it, they'll be good to go. 2nd and 6 from the Montreal 35. Collins is down on the field for the Riders, trying to put any kind of pressure on his leg. They're going to get him up to his feet here shortly, and there it is, as he will stumble around alongside the training staff. Just like that, we're hitting 100 likes on the stream, friends. Thank you so much for having me along for the ride with you here tonight. It's been a fantastic night of football, and now we've got, 7.5 minutes to go to decide who's going to win the 2025 112th Grey Cup in Winnipeg, as we're getting closer by the minute. And just see if we have anything else going on here. Nothing happening there, so we should be good to go for tonight's action getting underway in a matter of moments after commercial break. I don't know what else to really say other than this game has been an absolute treat so far. I think everything that you hope the Grey Cup games are, that's what this game's been thus far, and I think the late dramatics that we're about to have will prove that once again, as well, as it's going to come down to the very final possession, it looks like, here tonight between the Riders and Alouettes, as the Riders, like I said, in field goal territory, but Montreal still plenty of time to handle things here. And of course, timeouts haven't really been used too much, so we'll see how it shakes out here between Montreal and Saskatchewan as we go down the last few minutes. So do you appreciate that? Yeah, it's kind of the best we can do, right? I mean, the copyright thing kind of sucks, and of course, I mean, watching on a TV and not watching live or being at the stadium is a whole other thing as well. But the Grey Cup being held along the end zone sidelines right now, as both teams await to be awarded here this evening. So we're closing in on quickly getting this decided here. We got 7-ish minutes to go, and we'll see what happens between both teams here, as the Grey Cup just patiently waiting there in the corner for one of these two teams to receive it. and enjoy being crowned champions for the 2025 CFL season. Saskatchewan in possession of the ball, second and 6 here, 7-10 following the injury timeout. Trevor Harris back to snap the ball. He will pick this one up to the right. It'll be a pass out there, and Zhu will get knocked out of bounds after not handling the ball the cleanest on the catch. 2 yards short of the first down, so short yardage chance here for the Riders. 6:59 to go. Are you going to kick the field goal and stay up by a possession, or are you going to go for it here and try and really put the nail in the coffin here for Montreal? 3rd and 2, Montreal 31. I think you got to kick the field goal. I think you absolutely got to do it, and that's exactly what they're going to do here. As the kicker comes out for the Rough Riders, Brent Lawler, again, made from 48 yards earlier tonight. He's going to be attempting something pretty similar here again for the Riders. It's a 39-yard field goal attempt. The kick back, and here's Lawler. Well, he will miss it wide. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Montreal is going to return this now. It didn't go out of the back of the end zone. Montreal into a corner, and they are out of bounds. But what an absolute turn of events there for Saskatchewan. You get it to within guaranteed points territory, and then you kick it away just like that. That's a tough, tough go. And it'll be a 25-17 lead for the Riders here with just under 7 minutes to go, or somewhere about that. I didn't get a good look at the clock. I'll be right back, friends. I'm just going to go refill the water bottle one more time. All right, let's do this. We are on commercial break, but we are about set to see how this one ends between the Riders and the Alouettes. Oh my goodness. That kick being missed. What do you do there? That was just not quite a clean set for the kicker. As Lawler comes through and just kind of mishandles that ball a little bit with his foot. So what do you do? It is what it is. But now for the Riders and the Owls. 72.2% this season, lowest since 2013 for his kick percentages. And now Montreal from their own 15-yard line, actually 19-yard line, pardon me, with a dart up the middle to the 35 to Rambo. And with 6 and 20 seconds to go, Rambo's got a first down. That's going to get Montreal upfield in a hurry. 25-17 for Saskatchewan right now, but they have just cost themselves possibly what would be the game for sure by, getting themselves back up away from a one-score territory. It is now 5:57 to go here. As this one goes up through the middle, it'll be knocked into the left side of the scrimmage line, only for a 1-yard gain. So it is what it is. Montreal 35, 2nd and 9, 25-17 second down conversions, 10 for 18 tonight for Montreal. So again, they're hovering around that 40 to 60% mark all night. Almost here is Davis Alexander back, pedals. He's looking to step up. He's going to throw right downfield in a hurry. He's got Sneed, and Sneed's there at the 23-yard line of Saskatchewan to catch that right there. So, oh boy, that is going to get Oh boy, that is going to get interesting now for Montreal. They are guaranteed at least a field goal here, if not more, as Davis Alexander stepped up and absolutely gunslinged it downfield in a hurry for Sneed, who's had a couple of big catches here over the last few possessions for Montreal. And now the question is, can Montreal, unlike Saskatchewan, cash in here and get the job done? Is this going to be a pickup for Scott? Scott's going to carry forward to the first down and more. 11-yard line for Scott. And now Montreal with 4.5 minutes to go, fully in charge of their own destiny here. As Rambo's helmet there, that's what's called a guardian cap, I believe. It's just extra protection for the head. As this has been absolutely fantastic. And friends, thank you for being aboard for the ride here. We are closing in on home time here on the stream. The Riders need a touchdown here sometime on the next possession to just put away the Montreal Alouettes. But the Alouettes still pushing here to try and make it a one-score game, if not, well, no, to tie up the game, sorry. As it's going to be caught in the backfield and thrown across the line of scrimmage. And here we go, down to the 3-yard line. Montreal has got this going. So we'll see how this is going to pan out. Jason Moss communicating to his players on the field. Montreal can sense it now. They've got the momentum. They've secured the game's head of steam. And they can see if they can punch this in and tie up this ball game. Ultimately, you have to go for the 2-point conversion here if you're Montreal, I think, just simply because, worst case scenario, yeah, Saskatchewan scores. Actually, you probably kick the field goal if you have to. Never mind. Secondary thought, you probably kick the field goal if you have to. Now coming in to try and push this across. There's a fumble by Montreal at the goal line. And Saskatchewan, I think, just recovered. No way. You've got to be kidding me. Saskatchewan on a fumble at the Montreal goal line just recovered, and they will have possession inside their own zone. Quaddy, good evening to you, my friend, as that is a turn of events there. This game is absolutely bonkers. What a play there by Saskatchewan. The quarterback jumping over top trying to score the touchdown, and gets popped up right there. And when Saskatchewan on their own goal line pounces on the ball. 25-17, less than 5 minutes remain in the ball game. And this might just be a big turn of events, like I said, between Montreal and Saskatchewan. What a night of football it's been so far, and are we about to witness another great finish to another Grey Cup? I think we are very well in line for that here tonight, as it has been a fantastic evening of football so far. Really do truly appreciate everybody being aboard again. I can't stress enough, everybody's been great. Love to have you supporting the Edmonton Oilers stuff as well. If you're a Saskatchewan fan, I guarantee there's a 98% chance you are an Oilers fan. Boo those guys down south here in Alberta. And I would love to have you aboard supporting the Oil here on Dollar TV as well. Just did the first Oilers live stream of the season there. Last night against the Carolina Hurricanes. Got out before it got hairy, I'll tell you that much. I'm glad to have been done after the first period. Have to figure out dinner. Dinner was decent, Turkey is always a good play when it's not a big holiday and you cook it in the oven. So we are rocking and rolling. It's 25-17 game. There is just roughly 5 minutes or less. I think 4 minutes there more accurately to go here in the fourth quarter between the Alouettes and the Rough Riders. That would have been a huge score for the Alouettes. Obviously would have brought it within a one-score game or a few points, but unfortunately that's not the case. So we'll see how this goes for the Riders. Sorry, just got a pizza. Breading from the pizza stuck in my teeth there. So get rid of that and let's go here, as we're going to watch the replay here of the forced fumble by Saskatchewan, and that ball just landed perfectly out of reach. As that is true, Tony. Not sure if Montreal can force an immediate punt. That is for sure. So we'll see, as this will be fumble recovery for the Rough Riders. So it's 25-17 for the Riders over Montreal. The handoff there to Ouellette. He's powering forward. He's got the first down, and like I've said before, more. 12, 13 yards gained by A.J. Ouellette. And he is up now. 2.5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. I did not realize we bled off that much time off the clock. Oops. Wow, crazy. As that was a heck of a run there from A.J. Ouellette, who will keep things moving here inside the last 2.5 minutes. As both teams want to bleed down the clock. 2:24 to go in this one. As it is 9 seconds to go on the play clock. 2:17, 2:15 now on the clock for the Riders. As Harris will hand off to Ouellette, who's going to rush up the middle again. 2:09. He's turned back at the line of scrimmage with 2:07 to go on the play clock here. 25-17. Montreal and Saskatchewan both with a timeout charged here so far. And we'll see how this pans out here, as this is going to be an absolutely insane finish here, as that was just a tough go there for Montreal, that is for sure. As Sales gets that going. And now 3 of last 4 Grey Cups decided in final 3 minutes. $1:50 to go on the play clock now, as here's Harris downfield looking to the far side. He's got the first down and maybe a little bit more, a lot more. How about that? A gain of about 20 yards there for Myers, who's had himself a solid game of receptions himself. There's a flag on the play, $1:38 to go here in this fourth quarter, as time winding down on the Montreal Alouettes. And we'll see how this shakes out as the flag on the field, as the referee's trying to call this one right now. Quaddy's saying it's a dumb penalty, so it must be on Saskatchewan. Unnecessary roughness against Saskatchewan, against A.J. Ouellette. That is insane, as Harris goes to the far side, and then Myers just a beauty spin move to get off a defender, and then just kind of clutch up against a couple defenders that were trying to steal the ball out of his hand. Last one gave him a little bit of a rough ride, but Myers makes sure to keep moving. Mace can't believe it though, and we will have an opportunity for Montreal now to really force Saskatchewan here. It's 1st and 10 from the Saskatchewan 50-yard line. As this will go here, Harris will hand off to Ouellette, who gets rocked absolutely in the backfield. $1:35 now on the clock, and this is huge. If Montreal can get a stop with any time on the clock, this is going to be huge. 2nd and 12. As we will see how this shakes out. As Montreal was looking to get a hold of him, that's for sure. And now, what happens in the final minute and change of this ball game is Saskatchewan inside Montreal territory, trying to line up what is going to be the end of this ball game for them, their next possession almost for certain, as a timeout by Montreal with 1:35 to go. This could be the huge moment of the game. Sorry, it's Saskatchewan 48. Sorry, I thought it was Montreal 48. So if Saskatchewan can get a first down here, this would be huge. If Montreal is able to force the punt, then their own destiny lays in their hands, and we very well could be headed to overtime. So Lowther, obviously the missed field goal, that might be the most costly play of the game to this point for Saskatchewan. 3 seconds left on the play clock. Here's now Harris over to the near side, as they've got a timeout left. Does Saskatchewan, the yardage gained with 1:28 to go by Neild, but the offense for the Montreal Alouettes will get set to take the field here in a brief moment after a punt by Saskatchewan, as they're going to have to end up kicking this one down into Montreal territory and seeing what happens here. As 3rd and 6, $1:28, so there's plenty of game left for both teams. But Montreal, if they're wise, will try and use the clock to get going here, and then as well as the situation dictates, Saskatchewan's got that timeout, so don't count them out quite yet either. As Miracle, and they're up 25-17 are the Riders. They've got 9 seconds to have to punt this ball away. And we'll see what happens here with the seconds to call play. They will do it now with $1:08 on the clock. as time continues to wind down. A $1.05 as the reception is made and we wind down. The tackle is made with 59 seconds left in the ball game. 25-17, the Alouettes are down. They now have possession and they're looking to light things up here as the James Barker Band gets a little bit of a plug here. They're a great band to play lawn games to at a country music festival, I'll tell you that much, as they are coming to Calgary as well. So enough time on the clock here for all kinds of chaos to break loose in this football game. 25-17, 58 seconds. The play clock, 19 seconds to go, but time is not ticking yet. 1st and 10 for the Alouettes here as Davis Alexander will look to get things going. 4-4 record in games decided in the final 3 minutes. As Alexander rolls out to the left, he's getting chased down. He's going to have to just scramble to try and get 2 or 3 yards, and he's good enough to do it. And again, he's hopping around out there, and he is, I don't know if he's hurt or what. I think Davis Alexander might have just hurt his hamstring, or is he okay? I don't know. He's not looking so good. As that's a couple extra yards from Davis Alexander right there, and he avoids being tackled and then hops out of bounds and immediately clutches the back of his leg, and he's hopping up and down trying to keep it stretched out, as this is going to come right down to the wire. But if the backup quarterback has to come in, I almost think Montreal is in pretty bad shape. We'll see how this gets going, as this is going to be now Davis Alexander still hobbling around okay out there. He's going to go for another run, but they're going to call play and there's going to be a flag with 44 seconds left to go on the clock. 25-17 the score for the Riders. Sorry, friends, I wish I had a scoreboard for you. I just can't get the TSN website screen grab to work for me, as we got 44 seconds to go and now 49 seconds back added on the clock. And it looks like a legal procedure against Montreal with 49 seconds to go. 5-yard penalty right there, so we'll see how this factors out. And Alexander, I don't know if he's okay, but he just kind of came up limping a little bit there going into the Riders bench. And you know, he's good enough to stay out there. Montreal 21, 2nd and 12 for the Alouettes. See how this plays out. As Alexander will get the ball going. He's back towards his own 15. He throws forward. He's got the man there, and it's 3rd and about 5 for Montreal. And now you can feel it here. Davis Alexander is going to have to go for this here, I would assume, as he's going to direct traffic here, because it is a 3rd and 4th. And the Riders are possibly a play away from winning the 2025 Grey Cup right here, right now. As Davis Alexander back to pass, he's going to look for an option. He's got it! Game stays alive for now. I believe that's Sneed. And the Riders quickly swallow up Sneed, and Davis Alexander under pressure comes up with the biggest play of the game. Thus far, 32 seconds to go. Moved Montreal upfield. And my, oh my, what an absolutely clutch dart and catch for the Montreal Alouettes. The Riders, now what happens here, we'll see. As this is going to be a back pass for Davis Alexander, but it's another illegal procedure against the Alouettes, or so it looks like. They jumped the gun again, and Alexander visibly frustrated with that, this time offside, as Alexander liked what he saw. Let's give me just a second, Alan. I'll get you going. As soon as this penalty gets updated. Here we go, 32 seconds on the play. It's the Montreal 42-yard line. Davis Alexander back to pass, and they are going to wave this one off again. And Alexander with 28 seconds. Frustrated visibly once again. As he will wait to see what the call on this one is. As Alexander is getting pretty upset out there trying to understand. It's 25-17 for the Riders. Montreal trying to push upfield here inside their own territory still. And we'll see how this gets going. 31 seconds. The play clock now running for Montreal. Davis Alexander back to pass. He will get sacked. He will throw it away. And no, that will not be a sack. It'll be a throwaway ball with 22 seconds to go. 2nd and 10 on the Montreal 42, as Davis Alexander just quickly covered himself up by throwing that ball away. Got swallowed up by Saskatchewan, and there is still time for a miracle here for Montreal. But again, at this point, all it would mean is simply overtime if they're able to get the 2-point convert. Again, we try for another time from the 2nd and 10, Montreal 42. Here's Davis Alexander with 20 seconds on the clock. He's dancing around in the pocket. He throws downfield, and it is going to be missed over top of the hands of the receiver for Montreal. So this time with 16 seconds to go, 3rd and 10 from the Montreal 42 and an 8-point score in favor of Saskatchewan. 25-17 they lead, and the game in their hands here to close it out with 16 seconds to go. Saskatchewan looking on with victory in sights if Davis Alexander can't deliver a dart downfield to at least offset the next 10 yards. As Alexander backpedals into the pocket, here he is going to snap that ball. He's ready with 14 seconds to go. He gets swallowed up. He is going to go downfield, go for a run here. He's going to throw to the sideline, and I think he got it. With 6 seconds to go. Montreal gets the first down, and this game is going to quite literally come down to the very last second, as Davis Alexander just enough scramble around that pocket to avoid pressure, get a ball off, and throw it right to the sideline. And now all of a sudden, I think that was Scott down there at the sideline for Montreal. How is this going to play out? Princess Auto Stadium, the question there. Winnipeg, Manitoba, 112th Grey Cup. Davis Alexander takes the snap. He's back in the pocket. He's got no time on the clock. The Hail Mary downfield into traffic. It goes trafficking, and it is dropped by everybody. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders are your 2025 Grey Cup champions. As Trevor Harris, well, he cements his legacy. The game is over, and just like that, Trevor Harris, one of the all-time greats in the CFL, has been able to check off a Grey Cup off his want list. And there you have it. The Riders in Winnipeg are the happy, victorious team when all is said and done this evening. It is done and dusted. The Riders, as 72% of you voted here tonight on the Dolany TV poll, 72% out of 1,076 of you voted for the Riders to win, and that indeed they have. The Riders, your 2025 Grey Cup champions. Friends, thank you so much for being aboard here on Dolany TV. I just want to say, if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing and coming back for some Edmonton Oilers content. And with that said, if you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, leave a like on the stream. And if you want, let's hang out here and talk about this game a little bit more. Trevor Harris, you know what, after Davis Alexander had some trouble with interceptions, it is Trevor Harris who comes up with a performance of a lifetime to win the Grey Cup. What a night, and congratulations to the Rough Riders. A fantastic evening of football. A Grey Cup, I don't think it's necessarily the most memorable one ever, but it's quite literally an entertaining one nonetheless. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight, making this one memorable for me nonetheless there for sure. And I just want to say again to those of you that stuck around for 3 hours and 41 minutes here on this broadcast, it has been an absolute electric night to be a part of. And when I sit here and say it's going to be a night to remember, 750 hours in the tank for watch time here on the channel tonight. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for the long run. Trevor Harris is trying to get set to do the interview, but he's got one last quick handshake to get going, and then the handshakes from all the coaching staff and everybody. It has been a night to remember. The Riders win the Grey Cup 25-17. Gillis TV electric. Of course, Gillis TV is the whole reason I did the live stream tonight. And, well, hey, good on everybody involved, as it is a fantastic win this evening. Trevor Harris takes home the Grey Cup. And, friends, I think that will do it for me here tonight. Right now, I am up on Oda here. Appreciate all the support. The Riders have won. That is it. That is all. We are good to go. And we will get here